Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Bryson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22.
10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, Dancy, all around. Throwing as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
All right, we are back for another episode of Around the Indoor Football World. We got lots to talk about today. There's some ownership changes. There's some big news transaction-wise. There's some injuries. There's a little bit of everything today. So we'll be coming at you with the TAL first. But before we get to that, I am joined by our co-hosts every week now. So we got Coach B below me, TJ in the corner, and then Krish up top. How you guys doing today?
Good. Happy to be here.
Thanks again for coming, man. Really appreciate it. And later on, we have a pretty special guest for you guys. We will have the ownership group for the West Texas Warbirds on in roughly 30 minutes. So we're going to talk some TAL ownership to kick this off. And Coach B, you could probably fill me in on his name. I did not catch his name right away, but somebody has taken over the majority ownership for the Goats moving forward into the 2026 season, or 2025 season, I apologize. He seems very intent on keeping the team in Kansas City, and he's doing a job he's doing a good job of doing that so far. He is just the latest of the ownership group to be added. As we all know, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the Garage Beer buying into the Goats as well. So I'm going to kick this over to Krish first, and then we'll go around the horn, and we'll finish up with Coach B when he gets back.
Yeah, anytime you can get a local owner, who understands the community and the culture, right, I think it's good for the league. And I think what the TL is trying to do is they're trying to stabilize locally. And that's going to be their long-term growth plan, and I think it's a great idea. You look at Brent up in Duluth, right? He's a big guy in Duluth, right? He's one of the richest people in Duluth, Minnesota. In Ozarks, right, they have Mark, who owns his private airplane company, and he also has a lot of money. And so anytime, when you have someone that makes such a big impact on the economy in the city, you're going to get support from the local government because they see how much of an impact that person is making already. Now with a football team that everyone can kind of enjoy and, be excited about for a community, it can be huge. So I think it's a big move by St. Joe. I'm excited. I love the Goats, the brand of it, and I think they have a strong fan base, and it's just going to continue to grow after this. So,
TJ, what are your thoughts on the addition to ownership?
Yeah, I completely agree. Anytime you can get more people to come in, to buy in, it adds popularity. It solidifies not just the team, but the league as a whole. And, I thought it was big when Garage Beer and the Kelsey brothers joined, and now, they have another, like Krish added, local owner, which is in, arena and indoor football of any kind. That's how you want to do it, because the local owner is going to have the pulse of the community. So I think it's a home run potential move by TAL and the Goats.
I would definitely agree. All right, and Coach B, the man who works for the Goats, what are your thoughts on this?
Actually, we got 3 new owners. Our majority ownership group consists of President Ted Sweeney, Kevin Kendall Randolph, who's one of the big politicians in the city of St. Joe, and Steve Craig, who's one of the richest people in the state of Missouri. So he lives in St. Joe, owns a lot of businesses in St. Joe, does a lot of stuff with the Chiefs and Missouri Western University. So that's our majority ownership group, and we still have a minority ownership group in Garage Beer, Gates Barbecue, 810 Sports Radio, and Christian Okoye. So I think it just builded this program up to a next level. We're kind of built like an AFL program or a IFL program supposed to be in the front office, and I think it's gonna help us move forward, build up the city of St. Joe. If you saw our first home game, we damn nearly had the house packed, and that's unheard of in the Civic Arena.
Definitely. And you recently got your first win as well. It seems like everything's kind of trending up for the Goats right now. By the way, great game last week. That was really fun to watch. Honestly, it was for a minute there. It looked like Eau Claire was going to win, and then you guys kind of came back at the end and pulled it out there. So it was a lot of fun. I think that actually might have been one of the first TAL games I actually watched start to finish because you were in it and then Tay Brooks was in it. But here's the official statement. The St. Joseph Goats Professional Arena Football Organization would like to announce the following ownership change. St. Joseph native and businessman Steve Craig has purchased majority ownership interest in the St. Joseph Goats Arena football team. Mr. Craig is an avid Kansas City Chiefs fan, wanted to make sure the Goats would be a permanent fixture in St. Joe now and in the future. Current team president, Kansas City native Ted Sweeney, will serve as the owner general partner. Mr. Sweeney served as team president last year, and although he only arrived in St. Joe 6 months ago, already acts like he was born and raised here. I love that little comment. St. Joe native, CEO of Sunshine Electronic Display and president of Hi Ho Bar and Grill, Kendall Randolph will be a part owner, and then also, as mentioned before, Garage Beer will also be a part owner. And then here at the bottom, minority owners, Christian Okoye, Sports Radio's 810, Stephen St. John, and George Gates of Gates Barbecue. So that's actually a very impressive ownership group in my mind because, we often hear that's the setup that you want right there. You want a majority stake, with a couple owners that kind of lead the way, and then you want a group around them that can kind of help, do their part to support the main ownership group, so you can spread out the financial responsibilities and not any one person is getting hit with a lot of it.
That makes sense.
Any other final thoughts on that before we move on to the other TAL subject for today?
Watch out for the Goats, baby.
Awesome. On that note, as of this past week, there is no undefeated team left in the TAL. I wanted to bring this subject up because while that sounds like it might be a bad thing, I actually firmly believe it's a good thing because the parity in the league is obviously on point. These teams are very competitive. You're not getting any team that's, just getting dog walked every week. So let's go to Krish first because I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about this one. Krish, what are your thoughts on the parity in the TAL? And as we go on, as these other leagues end, how do you think that'll affect the scope of the league?
I mean, I've been saying this all off season, right? And certain people want to question me and whatever. Like, nah, bro, you can't question me. Like, I've been saying the TAL would be more competitive this year because of the coaches, and I think it's good. I thought, honestly, in the beginning, I thought Duluth was going to run the TAL. I thought they were going to boat race teams by 40, 50 because of the amount of talent on that roster. But, with the Iowa Woo to game one, 32-6 at half, and then obviously they lost 71-56. But the reality is they competed with Duluth at such a high level with a lot less talent, right? Let's just be real. You take two rosters, compare them together. Duluth has the better roster by a landslide. Obviously Coach Tony's coming back tonight, and so that's a big move for Duluth. Getting him back. Obviously, you saw what the team looked like without him. And then they also promoted Darren Clark, my boy Speedy, the offense coordinator. So I think, that offense is going to get a lot better. with him leading the charge as the OC. I think he should have been the OC since day one, but my opinion on it. But I think it's exciting, man. I think the TAL is looking real good. Tonight's a really, really good matchup. We got Coach Tony versus Coach Tay, old school versus new school, right? And so, I mean, that's a huge rivalry in itself. If you remember the off season, them two going back and forth. So I'm excited for that. But no, TAL is headed in a good direction. It's good for the league, and it's good for the long term longevity. And so I'm just excited, and I love to continue to watch. I think it's great product overall, and it's just going to continue to get better.
I would agree. I've been kind of singing its praises as well. I know there's been some bumps in the road this season for the league, but I think this ownership change and then the parity in the league this year just prove how much effort is going into creating this league and keeping it going, because it just seems so much more stable than a lot of the other upstart leagues we've seen over the past couple seasons. TJ, what are your thoughts on the parity in the TAL? And as of right now, is this the most competitive league across the board?
I mean, it definitely adds, like you said, the parity aspect to it, because now it's kind of wide open. Competition is obviously pretty evenly matched. And I mean, you even look at that list that we have up, from the best team to the worst team is only a handful of touchdowns difference. I would have to say, yeah, this is definitely the most competitive league right now. Obviously, it's early, only a couple games in, but every team right now you can realistically see making a run at the TAL championship. So I definitely think that the TAL is going to probably get a decent amount of looks now that, especially with the other leagues ending, NAL already ended, IFL starting to wind down, AF1's in the playoffs. So, I think TAL is going to take center stage. You'll probably see a spike in viewership. And if they keep having these really good games, it's probably going to, there's a potential for it to explode in popularity in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, no, you have a good point. That's a whole nother thing that we haven't discussed yet is their timing in the season. If you look at it, like we just mentioned, IFL is in the back half of their season. AF1 only has 2 weeks left. NAL's already done. UFL's over. Really, your main competition here coming up soon will be the CFL. And, the two vastly different games, you're not, don't necessarily get the same fans watching both. But Coach B, what are your thoughts? Is this one of the most competitive leagues you've ever coached in?
As far as coaching, yes. I think it's one of the most comparative leagues. When you compare the coaches, they all solid around the board. Competition wise, with the players on each roster, adding players every week. Not even that, just the streams. All of our streams on each team are pretty good. So the games are all being streamed well. The production is great. Like, you can't ask for nothing better. And the way they're setting this up, I think this is going to be a lead in the future if it's done right. That can be a stable in the indoor arena community.
I would definitely agree, and it's like I said, it's been impressive to see how these teams are formed, and honestly, as we were mentioned before, as these other leagues come to an end, I'm sure the level of talent overall on a widespread level is only going to continue to kind of rise as the season goes on. So that's
I
kind
mean,
of
and I want to, kind of piggyback off of what Coach B said. Look at a team like Wu going out and getting a guy like Jeff Mack. Ozarks signing our boy Akil, right? Straight from the Wolfpack. And they had Akil, they were in contact with him for 2 weeks, before. They're like, hey, as soon as their season ends, slide over. And he's already in Ozarks, and he's going to make his debut tonight. So, I think it's a big deal. It shows these teams are willing to, go out and get high-level players. So it's good.
I completely agree. That's really what it depends on, right? If the games are fun, exciting, and the talent level's high, chances are fans are going to come, and especially when they don't have a ton of competition on on YouTube or whatever it may be, as things go forward. Let's not discount the fact that the IFL has a paywall now too. So I mean, if you're looking for arena football and you don't want to spend on it, then, right now the TAL is quickly becoming your only option to do so. So, I mean, that's another caveat there that we need to kind of consider as well. But any other final thoughts on the TAL in general before we move on to the IFL? Awesome. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the IFL.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me. It's so easy. Get out your own way. It's just so easy.
All right, so the big news out of the IFL this week is, again, transactional stuff. If you look here, Jacksonville made a lot of moves. They're clearly not happy with some stuff that's going on their roster. If you come down here a little bit further, Massachusetts has made a couple of interesting moves. Quad City had a couple offensive linemen get shuffled around. Tulsa's made a couple moves. So there's a little bit of everything on here. Including San Diego having to deal with the fact that they lost Draco Statham to injury, and then got Trayvon Van back. A couple other things. Any of these transactions stand out to you in particular, TJ?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the Jacksonville Sharks. Especially, they've been kind of on a skid. They've lost two out of their last three, including dropping 75 points or allowing 75 points at their loss with Green Bay. So, the fact that from the outside looking in, they're just purely going for, in their opinion, upgrades at the position because they released two defensive backs, signed another, released a D lineman, signed another. So I think they're really trying to get back to what they were a few weeks ago, and especially again after giving up 75 points, defensively, they want to definitely sharpen up and get ready, get right in time for the playoffs. Because right now they're in the middle, dead middle of their division conference standings. So they know going in that they pretty much have to win out now to put themselves in a better position for playoff seeding.
That's definitely fair. Coach B, any of these names stick out to you?
Not really. I'm still just trying to figure out what's going on with Vegas Nighthawks. They surprised me this year. Like, they supposed to be the team coming into the season I thought was going to be a powerhouse, and it just has not been the Vegas Nighthawks that was on the roster. The players that they put on the roster, I don't think. Ooh, Crockett on short-term IR for Tulsa. That's crazy right there.
Yeah, that's a big move for sure. And then I thought this was kind of weird, and maybe Krish can kind of elaborate on this, but Massachusetts, it says signed Smoke Monday, but I thought they signed him like last week. Krish, any insight
Yeah,
on that?
I think sometimes, like, you see this happen with other teams. You, like, sign a player and it takes time to process. And, like, if you're really going to play them that week. So I think he just has been, like, practicing with the team. And I think he might play tonight. So it's just, like, sometimes you sign a guy and you put it in late. But, it can happen. But my
Gotcha.
big move on this list is Cheesy Umanakwe. I think Cheesy's a top 3 linebacker in the IFL. He's insane. And so that, obviously losing Mikel Calhoun for Vegas was huge. But I think they got to upgrade, honestly. Like, that's a big move for Vegas. Cheesy's he's unbelievable. I mean, when we played him, yeah, like, he could play in mass, honestly. He's that good. So, so I one day down the line, though, But yeah, no, he's really good.
Just to throw this out there, Vegas has had just as much success sending players outdoors, just so we're clear. So I'm pretty sure they're on the same level as Mass when we're talking about that. But I'm a big fan of Cheesy. In fact, we'll probably have him back on the show very soon. Krish, any insight into why the Pirates released Voshan Joseph? I thought that was kind of a surprising move.
Yeah, Rosan hasn't played since week 2, so I'm more than happy with Marquise Waters at that linebacker spot. Marquise Waters is the best linebacker in the IFL. Turn on the tape. Marquise Waters can play in the CFL, UFL, and he will be in the UFL next year. So Marquise Waters is that good. So honestly, like, we're good, man. I mean, we got Monty Montgomery from Louisville. He's on short-term IR right now. So once we get him back, we'll have 2 linebackers. We also have another guy, Dominic Quino from Southern Miss. So he's played in the first 3 weeks. He got hurt, but I think he's coming back soon. So, I don't really think we needed another linebacker at that spot. So it's just one of those things.
That makes sense. It just was one of those things that caught my attention because I know they just signed him not too long ago, and to be honest, I had not kept up with how he specifically had been doing the team, so that makes a lot of sense. Green Bay, a couple moves here, but mainly just because they're getting guys back from short-term IR. And then Jacksonville was the team that kind of surprised me. And I wanted to shout out at one player in particular on Jacksonville's transaction list, Demontre Tuggle. I'm telling you right now, that guy is going to be a player to watch in this league. He has been playing at the higher level. He's been with the Chicago Bears, the Arlington Renegades, Ottawa Redblacks, and Hamilton Tiger Cats. Spent his entire career basically at the highest level, and now he's coming down to the IFL to keep himself relevant, but he's a great fit for the league itself. 5'10", 198 pounds, has some ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Isn't the fastest guy in the world, but he's pretty strong for his size. Definitely has some first step quickness and a little bit of agility to him. So I'm excited to see how he fits in with Jacksonville. I assume this is in response to the fact that Jimmy Robinson was hurt earlier on in the season. I don't know a lot about the defensive lineman that they brought in or the defensive back, but Jacksonville as of late has been one of those teams that no matter who they have, they're high talented players. They're players that they think can contribute right away, and they're guys to be watched, that's for sure. Any final thoughts on anything going on with the IFL? Anything you guys want to talk about subject-wise that I did not put on the list for today?
I think just to reiterate to Chris, honestly, Chris, I think Vegas has more. Coach Mike down there has more players sent up than any other arena coach in indoor or arena football.
Yeah. I think they average like 10 players a season under his watch. So, part of that is his ties to the CFL, obviously former CFL coach. So that definitely doesn't hurt his players' ability to get looks. He can obviously call up, members of multiple different teams and call in a favor, for lack of a better term, but they know that he knows what he's looking at. So I think that's a big reason why Vegas is basically the unofficial developmental football team for the CFL as a whole. And then also, Massachusetts has had a ton of success getting guys outdoors, but, and Krish is probably going to hate me for saying this, a lot of those guys are coming from the outdoor level as well. So to keep that in I'm not saying they don't count, just for the record.
Kinda don't count though, Shady, because they already was there. So they had connections and ties to get back there already without Massachusetts. So it ain't like Massachusetts helped them get there. Mike Davis has been doing this since the IFL. So this is nothing new for him.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with giving Vegas the proper due there, because they do a great job of elevating players. It seems like when Vegas is really high on a guy, eventually he's going to get a look one way or another for CFL or UFL. And then you're right. There is something to be said about the fact that Massachusetts does sign a lot of players from the outdoor level, and then they bounce back. But I think at the same time, for the sort of success that Mass has bringing in those guys, you have to really give them their respect and their shine for the fact that they're able to get in those type of players and bring that type of talent to the league. So realistically, kudos to both teams, because at the end of the day, bringing in the highest possible talent that you can get just makes the league as a whole more competitive, and that's realistically the end goal for all of us here. Because obviously we want the best games possible.
I agree, and I have all the respect in the world for Mike Davis in Vegas. I mean, I can't even count on one finger how many playoff wins he has in the last 4 years, but it's still good, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we're a factory, we're a powerhouse, and I love what we do over here. And I think we give guys opportunities, and I would take our guys over Vegas guys any day of the week. So that's just my thought on it.
Except for Cheesy, who's apparently good enough to play for Mass.
Well, he's a hard one to please. I tell you that.
Yeah, well, if it's Massachusetts, everything's painted in gold. If you're any other team on the planet, it's tough to earn that respect.
He does a great job. Now, as far as general manager ownership, he's one of the best owners I've seen out here. Like he don't shortstop. He makes sure his players got it. He makes sure his team got it, and that's why I respect him for that. But when you're talking about actually developing and putting them out there, Coach Davis is the best at the game doing it. You can't knock him, man. Vegas is a who don't want to go to Vegas and play? Like it's Las Vegas. Like it's a destination hotspot. So you add in the pot when you're there.
Sorry about that. Couldn't come off mute. Definitely agree. I mean, honestly, it's like I said, it's a good thing for the league as a whole, but you have to have some ownership groups like Jawad in leagues like this to really bring in the top possible talent, like we just mentioned. And I can't loud on that enough, because like I said, at the end of the day, fans want to see players that have some name recognition. They want to see guys that they heard of before, and then they also want to see the best possible talent on the field in the most competitive games. So it's a win-win-win for the league, and especially when those guys end up getting back outdoors one way or another, or the younger players that Vegas brings in get outdoors eventually as well. So any final thoughts on the IFL before we transition over to our guest?
One final thought. I did not expect San Antonio, Iowa, and Fisher Freight to be the lowest three team. That's crazy, especially with the roster Fisher Freight and San Antonio had.
Honestly, I'm glad that you brought that up, because Fisher's Freight is disappointing. I was trying to find a better word to say, but they had such a talented roster before the season, and for them to be where they're at right now, I'm shocked, honestly. Now, obviously, they've had some tough stretches here. They lost Jaya Wright to the LFA. They brought in Vincent Espinoza. They just recently signed Gurney Sloan as well. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how things go, moving forward, because obviously Vincent Espinoza has bounced around a lot. He has never really found sustained success in any one city. He's always, on multiple teams a year. So if he's the guy that they look to start going forward, that could dramatically change how Fisher's Freight approaches offensive play calling. And then also Iowa, one of the transactions I wanted to point out, signed Darian Conrad, a wide receiver and kick returner who was recently with the AF1, with 3 different teams in the AF1 as well. So kind of cool to see him find a next opportunity. But
I think he was a Southwest Kansas player, right? For a little bit.
Billings and Nashville.
That's insane. Yeah.
Started in Billings, spent some time in Nashville, signed with Southwest Kansas, got released a couple weeks ago, and now he is with the Iowa Barnstormers. So just making the rounds this year, and hopefully he can find some success there. Pretty good dude. Actually kind of hit me up to try and see if I could help him latch on somewhere, and I was not able to help him. That was all on him. So glad to see he landed somewhere. But we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and then we're going to bring on our guests who are from the West Texas Warbirds, the most recent iteration. Looking forward to speaking to them and talking to them more about what their desire was to bring back the Warbirds and why the move was so important to them moving forward. So we're going to hit that commercial break. We'll be right back in a minute with our new guests. All right. As mentioned before, we are joined by two of the members of the West Texas Warbirds. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Doing
We're
great.
good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all mine. We were very excited to hear that you guys were going to make a comeback with the Warbirds brand, and very excited to hear that there were some other changes on the horizon for the team, namely the move to Amarillo. So before we kind of really get into what the motivation was to move, what led to the desire to bring back the Warbirds brand in 2026?
Well, I mean, for me, it was a brand that me and my team built down in Odessa. It was a good brand that has a good name, and we knew that we were going to have to rebrand here in Amarillo anyways because of previous ownership from the past couple seasons that absolutely just ran everything into the ground. So it just kind of became a no-brainer because it was going to save us money as far as rebrand goes, and it was already a good brand. And it kind of fits because we have the nuclear facility up here, and we have the old air station up here. That was my motivation.
Makes perfect sense. Derek, can you kind of elaborate on what was your desire to get involved with the Warbirds and what led to the return?
Absolutely. Being around the team for when they were the Dusters and then they go to the Venom, I helped with a lot of the sideline reporting there, getting to know those players, building that rapport with them. Just quickly became just fell in love with it, gained a passion for the sport and for seeing how special it was for the fans and the community. It was something that I fell in love with a long time ago. And so it's always been a dream of mine to be in the position we are now. But getting to meet Leif and seeing what he's done with the team before and seeing how he runs things. And not only that, but just him as just a person. He's a good guy. He knows how to run a business. He's a successful business owner, and he's bringing all of that into the team. So when the opportunity kind of came about and we were talking about it, teaming up, it just made sense to bring it back. We know that we have a mess to clean up, and unfortunately a mess that we didn't make. But for me, being from here in Amarillo, as a kid going to the game, seeing how fun that was, it's all right there. The passion I have is to bring that back for the kids and for the fans again. So that's really what kind of led us here. So it's awesome. It still doesn't feel real, but we're excited to see what 2026 brings for the season and moving forward as well.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. TJ, did you have any questions you want to get in?
Oh yeah, I mean, anytime new ownership comes in and kind of revamps the team, honestly, with the way you guys are doing it so far, it's definitely going to get the community to back you guys. What kind of added community stuff are you planning on doing as either the season gets closer or even in season, just to bring that community connection even closer to the team?
I'll let Derek answer that because community is kind of where his, obviously I love my community, but that's where he's specializing in and has a ton of just ideas that he wants to do.
Well, absolutely. First off, what we're real big on talking about those kids camps, right? Having a few of those throughout the season. I feel like that's important to get the kids involved and get the parents and get the community involved with that, to really display what we're here for. And we've talked about it. And our biggest thing is it's more than just football. It's bigger than us, and we got to keep that standard going moving forward. So. Getting involved with the kids, we're going to have more than one camp, through the season. I mean, we're going to get these the players involved and our team involved, and really the biggest thing for us is the sponsors, building that relationship with them and showing them how much we appreciate that. Because at the end of the day, none of this is possible without our fans, without our sponsors, and without everybody that puts a lot of work into this day in and day out. So. Staying involved with the community as much as we can. We got to be a part of an event yesterday for the Walk to End Alzheimer's kickoff party here. And right away, that was a no-brainer to get out, get involved in the community, and be big and do something more than just football, right? We know that at the end of the day, yes, we want to build a successful team and, and win a championship one day, but it all starts at the root, and that's our community, and that's staying involved. So the kids camp is big. Spotlighting our sponsors, going to visit their place of business. If it's a restaurant, go eat there, bring the players, do some autograph signings. It's just staying involved is going to be our biggest thing. And we know we are backed by a lot of the community or business owners, and a bunch of fans are already excited to come back. Again, there is some of that pushback a little bit, but it's nothing that we're kind of shying away from. We know that we have a mess to clean up again, and just really just staying involved in the community as much as we can is the biggest thing for us.
We know that if we're going to ask our community to invest in us, then we've got to invest in our community. And the thing about that is like yesterday, you've got to show up. You can't just be there and expect someone to put it into the team. And when all of Amarillo is invested in us, then we're invested in all of Amarillo. We've got to let people know that they're more important to us than the football team. And quite honestly, and I tell it all the time, I'd rather someone in Walmart see me and want to shake my hand versus punch me. Because like Derek said, we're all business owners in this community. We have to live here at the end of the day. And if I've got someone upset at me, then that means that somewhere along the way that I've let something fall through the gaps as far as my community goes. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of that community, obviously we talked about it a moment ago. You guys are moving from Odessa to Amarillo. What ultimately led to that decision for you, Leif? I mean, obviously you mentioned Odessa is kind of where you built this brand and where you've, gained the notoriety to draw up some of the interest that is coming about because of your guys' return. So what led to that decision?
Well, I mean, when I sold it back in 2023, I never expected the Warbird brand to be available again, but then they changed it to the Desert Hawks, and then said they wanted nothing to do with the Warbirds anymore. Then, I knew that there was a possibility that if the market in Amarillo came back around, which is a whole different other story, because I did have that market before Robert Reyna had it. So technically he really should have never had the opportunity to ruin it here, but we'll get into that at another show. But whenever we finally got the market here, it was one of those, just honestly, it was always kind of talked about, we joked about it, and then once we got the market, it became a lot more serious. I'm from here. I've been here 20 years now almost. So Odessa was more of a commuter where I went when I worked. And Amarillo has always supported arena football if it's done correctly. So it was really just a matter of the fact that the name was available, everything was available, and it was something that I loved, made sense, and the rest of the ownership group got behind, and we've actually had a really, really good response to it as a new name. So we're excited about it, and I don't want to take it away from Odessa and say that we moved because of Odessa. We didn't move because of Odessa. I haven't been there since 2023 as far as doing business, but it's not going to go back there because, frankly, Odessa didn't support it. We had 20% of the sponsors doing 80% of the support, and I love every single one of them. And they're the ones that made it happen. Just like I know the sponsors here are going to be the ones that make this happen. But there's just, after that market's been burned like it has been, there's just no going back to it. And plus, living here, it's a 10-minute ride to the arena versus a 4-hour ride to the arena.
Makes perfect sense. Coach B, do you have any questions?
I was just going to ask a little bit to piggyback off what you guys said. How was it bringing back the team in Amarillo with such a bad perception with the Venom? The Dusters was one of their main teams. A lot of people wanted you to bring back the Dusters. And what is your vision for Amarillo and the Warbirds going forward?
Man, we've kind of touched on it before, but we're cleaning up a mess that we didn't create. But the people here are happy to see that it's us, because we are known. I ran for city council just a few months ago, so my name's out there. Derek's been out there in the football world for 10 years now, I think 10, 11 years now. Our other owner, she's got her hands in, when I say everything, I mean everything, guys. Like, she's got her hands in everything. So when the announcement came out that it was us, then people kind of perked up and was like, oh, okay, like, this is going to be serious this time. These people know what they're doing. They care about it because they're here. And I don't want my other businesses being affected by it. Neither do the Derek and Kathy. I like wearing rings, guys. I'm a little bougie in that sense. So when it comes to what our future holds, we're not doing this to just do it as a hobby. I want to do it as a I want to win. As an owner, I technically still haven't lost a game. So, Warbirds were undefeated the seasons that I was there. So in Odessa, so I'd like to keep that going. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, but obviously the competitive side of me would like to keep that streak intact.
I love that. And I know this hasn't been put out there publicly yet, so I can totally understand if you guys choose to pass on this question. But can you tell us which league's logo will be on those rings next season?
I'm not going to say which league it's going to be. I'll just say which one it's not going to be, just because of the speculation. We are not going to the AF1. So I'll just leave it at that. Derek, I don't know if you want to put any other teasers out there, but yeah, I can just tell y'all we're not going AF1.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think we just leave it at that.
All right. That is fair for sure. Man, there's so much to talk about with this. I mean, I love how you mentioned that you never thought the Warbirds name was going to be available. I thought the rebrand was a little odd, given the fact that they had just purchased the team from you a year before. Was it something that immediately perked up your interest when you saw the rebrand and you were already kind of making plans at that point to bring it back, or was this something that just came about because of the partnerships you were able to form with Derek and Kathy?
I mean, yeah, it definitely got my interest up to sit there and say, well, what if, right? But at the time, I'm not going to say it hurt, just because I'm not about to get my feelings hurt over some arena football naming stuff. But it was one of those things where it's like, man, like, they're doing everything they can to cover up my legacy down there. And it's not to sit there and say I had this wonderful legacy, like I'm, Don Shula down there. But it definitely, then when you start spinning it and you're like, man, they're trying to cover it up, and it's like, well, now you get a chance where if you do end up somewhere else, you can bring it back. It is what it is, sort of thing. But yeah, the rebrand was a little weird down there, but I understand also that Zach wanted to have his own thing. Perfectly understandable, because I mean, as an owner, I'd like to have my own thing too. So yeah, Derek, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I mean, is what we really talked about with the Warbirds and what Leif built with that. It was awesome. It was special. And then you kind of go back to the Dusters and the Venom, and yes, we did have some fans that are like, what, not too big on change, which I know that's where we're getting a little bit of pushback. But our thing was, I wanted to leave the Dusters and the Venom as what they were, right? They were once a great organization. They did great things. Even towards the end, when things were messed up, there's still good people didn't hate the team. They just didn't like the way it was being ran. And with the Warbirds, we talked about it, doing a complete rebrand here. But then also by the time everything was kind of finalized and we made this official, you're almost in a crunch time because March comes pretty quick. So we were just like, hey, you've built something great. You built something special over there. Let's move it here. It made sense. And so far, we thought we were going to get a lot more pushback than we have, but we've had a lot more support than I thought. And so we thought that was perfect. Everything's there. Everything's going smoothly. Instead of being in this time crunch, we're still getting the community and the fans engaged in things, right? As far as, naming the mascot is going to be one. And so that's kind of why we wanted to keep the Warbirds. And like Leif said, he had a good thing going over there, and he didn't think the brand was still going to be available. So to bring that here, and it's something that people are still familiar with, but now it's there's a lot of other exciting things coming, a lot of other announcements, some slight changes we're making, but it still is the Warbirds. And I'm just excited to keep that going for Leif. And at the end of the day, just excited to be doing this alongside him, so that's really what kind of led to just keeping the Warbirds. It makes sense. It's new. It's still new and fresh here. And that's what we want. It's a complete fresh start, right? And that's what we're going to stick with and make sure that this is the best experience that everyone gets to enjoy.
I love that. I keep hearing these kind of buzz terms as you guys are talking: community, the people, the fans. So I love that. I mean, it obviously you guys have at heart what fans want to see, and that's very important to any franchise. So I really love to hear that at the core is, what the fans want. If you don't want to elaborate on this question as well, completely understand. Was there any consideration or conversation about potentially partnering with Zach Bug as well?
No.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I'll just leave it no.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, not necessarily looking for any context. I was just curious if that was a conversation that was had. TJ, do you have any other questions you would like to ask?
Just another quick one. Speaking of the fans, what kind of, if any, kind of tailgating, kind of setups or parties do you plan on having for the fans before the game starts?
Well, we've got a fan club. The guy that ran the one for the Venom, he's already started and he's already renamed the page. He's already done all that stuff, gotten it out there. The city does allow tailgating, I believe, up until an hour. So once the door opens, you got to cut off all tailgating stuff. So if fans want to do all that, we can make that happen. We can be out there. It's not ideal tailgating weather in February and March and April here in Amarillo, Texas. But if they're out there grilling and doing all that stuff, then we're going to be out there with them. But yeah, fan experience for me, like, you can turn somebody who knows nothing about arena football, indoor football, who frankly doesn't care about the fact that it's football, but it's just an entertainment aspect. You can turn someone who doesn't care into a lifelong fan because of that. Just because they're going to come and they're going to have a really good time. They're going to walk around the concourse, and there's going to be booths for them to, look at, talk to, little activities, little games, the on-field stuff, the in-stand stuff. It's all part of fan experience. We want people to want to come back. And we're also doing a promotion that we'll announce as far as ticket prices go, where it's going to be affordable for a family of four, to be able to come to these games versus having to drop, $100 to $120 just to get in the door. That's important to us as well. But yeah, you're right. Like, the fan experience starts from 3 p.m. when they're setting up to do some tailgate. And, if we can get the guys out there between workouts, or, the cheerleaders at least, then yeah, that's just going to add to it.
I love that. I love that a lot. Coach B, any other questions?
Not a question, but a statement. From what I've known and talked to a few people, they say Leaf is like one of the best owners to work with. Me being in AF1 with them last year and seeing how they was marketing and running things, I was I was loving it. So I know what he's going to do in Amarillo is going to be the exact same way. And it is one quick question: with you guys having this much of time to bring the team back in a year in advance, do you think it's going to be a recap of a Beaumont Renegades where they had a year in advance to market, put a team together, and now they won a championship? Do you think you in the same boat right now to win the league, whatever you go to in the first year, because you started a little earlier and you building it up the right way?
Yeah. You see Derek giving the thumbs up. That was our plan. That was our hope with that, because like he said, March comes really, really fast, especially when you're starting later in the year. Have guys started reaching out to us from the old Warbird teams that won championships that played AF1, played NAL. Yeah, they have. Have other people? Yeah, they have. But we talk to our sponsors, the people that we're trying to get as sponsors now, and we tell them, the rebrand, the way that we did it, not only did it save us money, but it saved us precious time, because again, March comes quick in this game. But not only player wise, but front office staff, we are able to now devote the time that we would have been spending in a rebrand to putting the right people on the bus in the right seats. So we've got good marketing people, we've got community development people that are specifically coming for that. We've got actual salespeople that are going out and selling this product. And then, the things that Derek has involved, in mind. So yeah, like I said, I like wearing rings, at least to show off a little bit. I'll get a little bougie when it comes to that.
That's hilarious. So one of those men that might potentially, we'll see, be trying to prevent those rings is this man right here, Ricky Burtz. He says Leif is a huge asset to the indoor arena football industry.
Yeah.
Maybe just a slight hint where you guys are headed.
Yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, don't worry, I don't have that power. I don't think Ricky would fine you for not coming, but we do really appreciate you guys' time today. And I wanted to ask a couple more questions if you guys still have some availability. One of those being, when you guys started the team and got back in the Amarillo market, and I know we've kind of asked this a little bit in a different way, but with that market having had the issues that it's had over the past couple of seasons, how did you guys start on the sponsorship trail? I mean, was it something where you revisited sponsors that were with the Venom and the Dusters to see if they still had interest, or did you avoid those sponsors and try to create new relationships?
I'll let Derek answer because he gives the more political correct answer than I will.
No, that's something you don't avoid. We don't avoid those sponsors that that we may have had some pushback. We know at the end of the day what our intention is, and we know who we are, and that's the biggest thing. We know who we are. I know my heart. Leif knows his heart. We know the intention of when we come to talk to a sponsor, even if they have some pushback. But again, it's been so amazing to have those sponsors that we don't have to worry about that approaching them, and they're like, hey, as long as you guys are involved, I'm in. And that's been something we ran into that's been awesome to experience, right? Because we know there's some sponsors that we're having to work with, and it's because we want to, right? It's our way of saying, hey, I'm so sorry what was done before. Let's make it up to you, and let's show you that this is worth the investment. But at the end of the day, we've mentioned it already too. It's about them. It's about taking care of them and giving them the best experience we can, right? And getting their brand out in front of the other fans who are coming. So as far as avoiding sponsors that maybe were burned before, those are the sponsors I want to go talk to first and say, hey, I'm sorry. Even though I didn't do it or we didn't do it, we're sorry. So really that's the biggest thing. And we've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to have some of those big sponsors that have always been a part of the Arena League, the Arena football teams here, are all excited. And like I said, it's been an awesome experience to be working beside Leif and Kathy and having the reputation we do have, and knowing who we are as an owner and as a person, and knowing our heart is the biggest thing. So avoiding anybody is definitely not something that we're doing, and we don't want to do, right? If I feel like I have to avoid a sponsor, it's probably because I did something wrong, and we don't want that feeling. So that's kind of how we're approaching this, and we're moving forward. And at the end of the day, we're excited to bring it back It's a fresh start for everybody, and I do believe, and I say this with confidence, this is going to be one of the best experiences that the fans have. The arena, we plan on packing it out. We plan on having a big season. But again, it's all because of the fans and the sponsors and just the community coming together.
Absolutely. Coach B, any other questions for you?
When you're ready to start vetting for your coaches, director of football operations, or whatever, please hit me up.
Yes,
I was
sir.
I was ready to go against Leaf when I was with the Iowa Rampage, so he know I'm gonna bring that competition in that back end, and I got a full roster and coaching staff on hand.
Yeah, we've hired our head coach. He started filling out his stable there, but yeah, we'll I'm pretty sure if you were with the Rampage, then you're gonna know who our head coach is. Most people are gonna know who the head coach is. He's been around the game forever. But yeah, that's coming. I guess we're gonna wait till the press conference. I don't know. The marketing's not my. I like marketing. I can do marketing, but it's not my thing. He's telling us to go ahead and release it, but then he told us, hey, like actually, wait until the press conference. I don't want people blowing me up. Then Derek was saying, well, he sent me the stuff to release it. I was like, you know what? Go with what you feel. We're just gonna go with what we feel today. So
yeah, who knows? We might announce it a lot sooner than the press. I mean, I've talked to Coach and I was like, hey, I mean, I know you want to wait closer to this, but this could be really good to get it out now. And so I don't know. There may be a post coming pretty soon, or we may wait. I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm so excited to show everybody the people that the right people we're putting in these spots. Like Leif said, we have time to do that, and that's been the conversations we've had week in and week out. And man, I'm excited. Like I want to announce it today who the coach is, and it may happen. Who knows?
Maybe right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we got to keep the people just kind of hooked in. So
That's fair.
It's gonna be good. Like Leif said, this coach has been around the game for a long time. Very good reputation. He knows he has very high standards, and he knows what we're expecting from him, and he knows what to do, what to build here, and he's worked. He knows Leif and pretty well too. So they've had the chance to get to know each other and really kind of see what they've both done in the game. So it's exciting. I'm excited to announce it. So
absolutely excited to figure out who it is, and I'm sure it'll be nice for him to get a nice early start on his 2026 recruiting and kind of be able to build the roster the way he wants to shape it. TJ, any further questions for you, buddy?
Nope, I'm good. Just thank you guys for coming on, and I can't wait to watch you guys take the field next season.
Thanks, buddy.
Best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to leave you with one last question, and then I'll swear I'll stop talking your ear off. But can you elaborate on where you guys will be playing in 2026, arena-wise?
It's going to be the Amarillo Civic Center, the same place the Venom and the Dusters have all played. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So if you're a fan and, located in Texas and you want to join and kind of be a part of this new iteration of the Warbirds, make sure you're following them on all social medias. You might get a coaching announcement as early as today. And then if not, the press conference is the 30th, correct?
Yep. It's the 30th. We're going to open doors at noon and then go live at 12:30. Should be probably, I guess, 30 minutes. Of course, I don't know how long-winded people are going to get. So, but yeah, it starts at 12:30.
Definitely. We will be tuned in for sure. Guys, really appreciate your time today. Would love to have you back on, in the future when we get closer to the season and talk about, how things are going for you and everything like that. But really excited to see the return of the Warbirds. I was always a big fan of the branding. I love the old school feel to it, but yet the modern look to the logo. So never got a chance to tell you guys as you were, formed before. So I really appreciate you coming back and giving us this time to talk about the Warbirds today.
Of course. Yeah. We appreciate y'all having us on.
Yeah, we do
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. This was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you guys in a later episode.
All right, buddy. Y'all have a good one.
Definitely. All right, we're going to hit a quick commercial break, and then we'll transition over to the last league of the day, which, of course, is the AF1.
Get in the game at BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Over 50 sports, live betting, online casino, horse racing, esports, and more. Start now and enjoy easy deposits, fastest payouts, and the biggest bonuses. And for over 25 years, BetUS is a name you can trust. Mention TV 150 now and get up to 150% in bonuses. BetUS, we've got your game. Call or visit betus.com now to join.
Krish with the out-of-pocket comments in the private chat, as always.
I did want to, talk about the NAL championship before we move on to AF1, if that's okay.
Well, real quick, TJ, thank you so much for your time today, man. Really appreciate it. I know you got some other prior engagements you need to get out of here for. So thanks for joining us every week, man, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you very much. And from the sounds of Krish, it's a very good time to leave, considering I'm a B fan. So,
no doubt.
Thank you guys, and everybody. Enjoy the games, especially some playoff games this weekend as well. See you guys next week.
Absolutely. Have a great one. That's hilarious. All right, Krish, fire away, buddy.
Yeah, so, obviously we had a great NAL championship. I first want to commend the NAL and its leadership on an amazing production. I oftentimes say that I'm the GOAT in this industry when it comes to broadcasting and media, but the real GOAT is Todd Walkinghorst up in Omaha. He does an amazing job. He's my favorite broadcaster in all of Arena Indoor. I mean that sincerely. I really enjoy listening to him. He tells a great story. He's great at what he does. I thought the production was amazing. I thought the sideline interviews were great, and I thought the officiating was really good. Craig Helster, those who don't know him, he's the director of officiating for the NAL, but he also officiates AF1 and IFL. So he has an experience what all three products look like at a high level. And so I thought that was great to have him, come in and officiate. The one thing that I wanted to kind of call out is we had a little bit of altercation with, some players going up in the stands. And so I found this nice photo. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I don't know why it's not going on the screen. Oh, yeah, here we go. So this is a photo from the championship game that I pointed out. There's a lot going on here, and I was really disappointed at the lack of security at this Beaumont game. There were fans fighting in the stands. As you can see, there are no Beaumont players in the stands, only Omaha guys. And, you see Coach Negron and Coach Mace right over there getting into a verbal altercation. These are things we don't want to see, right, in our industry. And so I really hope Beaumont works this offseason to, up security so we can keep the players and fans safe. And, I think, you saw Ricky come over, and started yelling at Coach, get security before it got out of hand. So I was just disappointed to see that, and I think players need to be held accountable too. No players should be going in the stands. So I hope those 3 Omaha players get suspended a game or two, just like our guys and Mass got suspended for the whole season for going in the stands, and doing the same exact thing. But I think, players have to be held accountable, right? It doesn't matter what team you're on. So I hope those guys get suspended and they move forward for next year. But it's a good learning lesson, because you don't want your league championship that's being broadcasted all over the country. You don't want people to get that impression of your league. So it's just not a good look.
I definitely agree. And knowing the way Ricky is and, how he holds his franchise to a standard, I have a feeling that there's going to be some punishment coming for that for sure. Professionalism is pretty key in his approach to everything. So would not surprise me if there's some serious repercussions for everybody involved. But that is, there's, I would be curious what caused all that. I mean, I was unfortunately not watching when that happened. I saw the end result and then pretty much turned off the game immediately. But so yeah, it was definitely crazy to hear about that after the fact. I will say, while I do think the Renegades can request more security, I believe the security in place is typically arranged by the arena itself. Now, we can sit here and have a discussion all day long about whether or not they should have requested more security. But at the same time, if you haven't had really, too many issues with this in particular, I could kind of understand if you're not necessarily pursuing that, because with that comes added costs as well too. So to my understanding, and Coach B could probably correct me if I'm wrong on this, but typically when you rent the arena supplies the staff, correct?
Arena supply, security staff, concessions, all that. So that's on them to see. But like you said, if they haven't had a problem all year, why would they add more staff? Only reason would because it's a championship game, but not a lot of staff, and the cost goes up too, not for the arena, but for the team. At the end of the day, it comes down to professionalism. You didn't see none of the Renegades players up in the stands or even running over there, so obviously they coach had them under control. Omaha, it's no excuse for that. Players, the coach got to keep his players in check, and that if his players is doing that, that mean the coach is not. They not listening to their coach. Then the coach got to put a set of standard, because that's not tolerated nor accepted. Where they go in the stands, I can see them going in the field talking stuff, but going in the stands, that's outrageous.
And
No, that
coach, I think the biggest thing is a lot of times, I think people want to come at the head coach and, in this case, the ground. But for me, I think the assistant coaches bear some responsibility too. As an assistant coach, you should know where your unit is at all times. And so having to be, the three players are all defensive players that went up in the stands, right? Where's the DB coach? Where's Adam Loftus? Where's Coach Albino? Where are all these guys, right? And so I think we in mass, I know what we practice is like every coach has a responsibility to know where their unit is at all times on the field, and I think that's important. So they have to hold up their end of the bargain too before, I know it's a new head coach, a new culture, and this is the first time that's happened all season. So it has to be, the fact that it was all defensive guys and none of his guys on the offensive side, it says a lot. So, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I kind of glossed right over the championship because we had the West Texas Warbirds on, who are, wink, wink, definitely not going to the NAL. Yeah. So anyway, on that note, let's talk about this championship game a little bit more and talk about the actual football on the field. I had talked about it last week, and I wanted to talk to you guys about this again today. But I personally think that was about as good of a championship game as you possibly could have gotten for the NAL. There was no doubt about the fact that those two teams were the best in the league, record-wise throughout the regular season. It reflected that. And then on top of that, the game itself was a really good game. Yes, Beaumont had it in hand most of the game, but there towards the end, Omaha, came back and kept it in question for the rest of the game, as they kind of fought back and tried to complete the comeback. So there at the end of the game, I think was an indication of how good this league really could be, outside of the altercation with the fans. I mean, realistically, football wise, that was one of the better games I've watched from the NAL all season long. So on that note, I wanted to ask you guys, what were your opinions of the two teams that made the championship game and their performance in the championship game? We'll go to Coach B first on this one.
I think it was the right two teams in the championship. No other team, I think, should have been in that spotlight. The game went how I thought it was going to win. Beaumont was a little hungrier. They've been all season. You can tell. You can tell when the team got that dog in them, got that grit in them in that fight. And they had it all year. They just wanted it. And you can tell by the way from the jump, with the way they touched the field, the way they set the tempo, and the way they came out at the halftime. It was no slacking or lacking. So even though Omaha did a push, I just knew the game was out of reach because them boys wanted it way more than Omaha. I think Omaha was a little content on the past 2 years.
I mean, there might be some of that. We saw a couple weeks ago, a lot of the championship roster from 2024 was brought back. Jordan Barton, Tommy Armstrong. I'm sure I'm missing some other players there. So maybe there was a little bit of complacency. I mean, they basically have run, for lack of a better term, roughshod through the league the past couple seasons. So I definitely think that there's some truth to that. Brian Mathern says beef organization is low class overall. Case in point, they think they all that and try to run roughshod over all the NAL teams, and they got their second loss handed to them. Brian, I can understand how other fans might see that way. I definitely disagree with that opinion. They are not a low class organization by any stretch. I think that sometimes they are held to such a higher standard because of their status within the league that sometimes some of the other stuff teams are doing around the league gets overshadowed by whatever the beef may be doing. And I don't necessarily mean that as any shade to any other team. It's just when you look at the NAL, there's a couple teams that stick out. And again, I am not trying to throw shade at any team in that league. But when you're an Omaha Beef, when you're a Sioux City Bandits, when you're a Carolina Cobras, and you've kind of built up a name over years to get to this point, fans are going to look at you a little bit differently than they're going to look at a Shreveport Rougarou or a Beaumont Renegades or a Colorado Spartans that are a new team still trying to form an identity. You know, the Omaha Beef have been around for 30 years basically at this point. Same thing with Sioux City. So I think they're looked at a little bit differently. I think they're held to a higher standard at times. And I do understand that point. So I'm not trying to dismiss your feelings on it. I just think that that's a little harsh. And I don't think that it's necessarily warranted for them. But Krish, any thoughts on the game itself?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing display of talent. You know, I thought the beef came out, and like Coach B said, I agree with that statement 1,000%. You know, they came out and they thought they had it in the bag. You know, they came out and that defense played horrible the first half, and you know, they really showed up the second half, but by then it was too late. Certain decisions, you know, I mean, I I see why Coach Negron went for it on 4th and 6 before the halftime. You know, not kick a field goal. His defense couldn't stop a bleeding nose all night. You have to try to get the most amount of points. So I understand that. And no, you know, certain guys, I mean, they won't be back with the beef next year. It's pretty obvious. I mean, you watch the tape and you see certain guys, you know, taking plays off on the defensive side. Um, I think Adam Loftus should have had his unit more ready to play, and he did not. And so, you know, it all falls on the defense. I put a lot of the blame on the defense, honestly. And then, you know, I think special teams wasn't great either. You know, I mean, we hear about how Caleb Shudak is and Coach B, you know, that you signed Caleb Shudak with Iowa Rampage. You know, I mean, they talk. I know, but y'all talking about him like he's the next Adam Vinatieri, which no, he's a damn good kicker, but he's not all that just yet. You know, he still has a lot of improvement to do. And
I beg your difference. I had him in camp. I know what he can do. It's the situation and it's the place too. You got to realize that Adam has a sour mouth for arena football, so he probably just came back to the beef just to be doing so. He didn't really want to play after the Iowa Rampage the way that all unfolded, and he saw how unprofessional stuff was. So mentally, he probably ain't been there. But when I say kicking wise, he's probably one of the best kickers I've seen in indoor besides the guy from Duke City that they had.
I mean, you know, if you want to get on Ernesto level, man, you got to be kicking at least 2 deuces a game. So, I mean, Caleb is he's good, man. He's raw, but he's not there yet, honestly, as a full kicker. I mean, I look at Luis Ferreira in Colorado. He's more consistent than Caleb. I mean, you know, you saw Luis Ferreira in person. He changes games. He's a game changer. Caleb, not a game changer just yet. But no, I think overall, and, you know, this is a good segue into Marlon Loban's comments. I know you have that ready to go, so I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk about that. I have a lot to say on that, but no, I think I'm happy for Robinson, man. I said it week 2. You go back and rewind the tape. That kid's special, man. The way he moves his feet in the pocket. Good morning, Coach Tony. Good to see you. Welcome back. The return of the Mac. But no, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited, and so you know I'm just so happy for Beaumont. You know, I want to point out it's the first all minority coaching staff in the NAL, so that's amazing to see, and that means a lot to me. You know, in this month and what we celebrate. So I'm just solo. Coach Peace and Coach Mayfred, 3 really deserving coaches. Zari Davis, Sidney Jones, 508, Connecticut's finest. I'm so happy for Sidney to get his ring. My boy JD got a 2nd ring. Trey, don't forget that it's his 2nd ring. When you interview him, make sure you mention that he got his 1st ring with us, and he's retired in Pirates history. So just so much history, man. So I'm just happy for Beaumont.
Just have to sneak in that mask comment anywhere you can, right? Thanks for joining us, Coach O'Neill. We appreciate it. Looking forward to the episode when we get you on here as well to talk some TAL. We'll have to get Coach Henderson on as well because I'm sure that could be a fiery, fun episode. Maybe we'll just go ahead and try and get a coach from every team in the TAL on one episode. Maybe after the IFL does their championship. What's that? I'm sorry.
That's my boy. That's my boy, Tony the Truth, man. He gonna keep it 100 all the way. He ain't gonna sugarcoat. He gonna keep it through and through, and he gonna let you know what it is.
I was telling someone, if you had to describe Coach Tony, someone was asking me, hey, how would you describe Coach Tony? I said, he's Allen Iverson and Pete Carroll combined, man. That's who Coach Tony is. So, I know that's a wild comparison, but Allen Iverson, man, the fierce, and Pete Carroll, the discipline. He's like old school and new school combined. I think that's a fair comparison. So it's good to see.
Okay, that's definitely fair. I actually do not have the graphic for the comments that Marlon Lobon said. So I apologize about that. I should have saved it ahead of time. Excuse me. But there were some pretty choice comments made by the defensive coordinator for the Sioux City Bandits about Omaha's decision to ultimately bench Lorenzo Brown and start Tommy Armstrong, which they caught my attention because honestly, I just thought they were kind of odd, but he had a lot to say about it, and it was a very long comment, and I'll see if I can't pull up the graphic real quick here, but it was one of those situations where, like I said, it caught me off guard. I was not expecting anything from Sioux City to be involved in the championship as far as that goes. And then all of a sudden these comments come out of left field, and it's basically calling out the coaching staff for their decision to not play Lorenzo Brown at all, despite the fact that he was a big reason why they were there in the first place. So, Krish, I'll toss this one over to you and see if I can't find that graphic real quick.
Chris,
Yeah,
that was a slap in the face.
It's good to hear from Coach Loban. I hope Cancun he's enjoying it. Kind of gets lonely there sometimes, but no, I was gonna say he should save a seat for Coach Thomas, but Coach Thomas only likes cold climate, so we'll get to that later. But no, I think I'm sorry, I had to take a shot at Southwest Kansas.
Yeah, you haven't done it yet today, right?
No, not at all.
It's 7:30 in the morning Mountain Time. You haven't gotten your shot at Southwest Kansas, and you needed to make sure it happened before 7:30, right?
No, but honestly, Coach B, why would you activate 2 quarterbacks? So, if you think about it, do you understand, Coach B? If they benched Tommy Armstrong, do you understand the hell that would break loose, bro? He would.
What you mean? Hell would break loose with who? Tommy? Because if I feel like Tommy has a lot of say so in that organization, but it's a slap in the face on Lorenzo for you to go the whole season. Now I don't mind them bringing in Tommy, but you run a 2-headed monster. That's your best chance of winning and reading Beaumont.
Tommy
Tommy
went 12-14 with 6 touchdowns last week. Why would you activate Lorenzo when Tommy's having so much sustained success? Tommy had more 8 touchdowns and 9 incompletions in 2 games.
The turnovers in the championship game. Why didn't you switch him out when the turnovers start happening? Obviously, he wasn't ready for that stage. You got to realize he been sitting out all year. He had one good game. Name another game besides that he really balled out. He ain't had a chance. Lorenzo, though, who's been fighting with you for the whole season, it's respect and integrity. You don't do a person like that who got you to where you got, because that record wouldn't be that record without Lorenzo. Honest to God, true.
We have a surprise guest that might have some comments on this, so we'll go ahead and pull him on right now. How's it going, Ricky?
I'm doing good, Sam. How about yourself?
Doing great. Congratulations on making it to the championship game. But I will pull up your comment, but let you go ahead and talk here. You said, I will make this comment. Coach LeBon can have his opinion while he is at home, and we are in the championship game for 5 straight years.
Well, first of all, again, congratulations to Beaumont. And Sam, I appreciate your comments early in regards to our organization. And I do want to circle back, and then we can talk about the quarterback situation here in just a second. So I know it was brought up, and I don't disagree with Coach B at all on players going in the stands and everything else. That's a big black eye. That's not a good look and everything else. But I will tell you, there's lots of videos circulating out there, and I'm going to say a couple things here. Is there's not a single video at all of my players throwing a punch. There's not a single video at all of my players F-bombing the fans, any confrontation at all. And so, and I'll say this, I'll ask Coach B this, since he's a coach. I know he's a father as well. Coach, I have a football player who is at the game. His significant other is there, along with his child. He looks up in the stands, Coach B, and he sees a complete stranger holding his daughter, while this complete stranger, significant other, is pulling the hair and beating the crap out of the mother of his child. Now, Coach B, what player is going to stand by and do nothing while that goes on, Coach B? I probably couldn't. I'll tell you that right now. I probably couldn't.
I couldn't either, Ricky. I understand where you're coming from on that one, but being professional, even if it was the NFL or anywhere else, even if that happened, we have to let our staff, our front office staff, to handle that.
I don't disagree with you at all, Coach B, but I'll just say I believe there was a lack of security there at the arena, because that showed in other areas as well during the game. And that's something that I know that the Beaumont Renegades are very aware of, that they're working on. There was some issues there a couple of weeks in a row and stuff like that, but again, all I'm going to say is I don't think any player should be up in the stands, but I just want to make sure I'm very clear that as a parent, whenever you have a complete stranger that you don't know holding your child, while at the exact, and I'll give props to this gentleman. I believe he's probably a parent himself. He probably saw the child getting involved in this altercation between two women, and went on. And even though the altercation, I believe, is going on with his wife's significant other, whatever it might be, he's actually grabbing that child and pulling that child out of the way. As a player, whenever you're 15, 20 feet away, if even that far or whatever, and if you look at all the videos, you look at every single video that was on there, not one time are my players throwing punches, inciting arguments, or anything at all. So again, I don't want to sit there and say I condone them going in, but I'll say that their actions, how they carried themselves while they were doing that, I will commend any player, not just mine, for doing that, So, so I just want to line that out real quick. So
I agree with you on that, because as a father and as a man, you see a stranger holding your child, you can't control your reaction. So in that situation, that's a different situation.
And like I said, and you look at all the videos, there's lots of people recording with their phone. There's no punches thrown or whatever. Now, I can tell you that the league itself, with the compliance committee and the board of directors, will handle any kind of disciplinary action towards the players and stuff like that. I believe that the board and the compliance committee will take into consideration the fact there were no punches, whatever. I know there's a situation, and I believe it was in another league a couple of years ago, where players went up in the stands throwing punches. It wasn't a good look at all. Again, both looks are very, very bad, but this wasn't a malice at the palace, So now we'll shoot on here. And like I said, I'll make my comment. Coach Lobin can have his comment all he wants, but we've been in the championship game 5 years in a row, one of them against them, and we came out with a victory on there. So Coach Lobin is more than his prerogative at all. If I'm not mistaken, I think Omaha has won 7 games in a row against Sioux City. So no problem, Coach. You want to throw comments out towards us, I got no problem throwing them back out your way, But we're in the championship game while you're at home. It didn't work out for us, but we did win 3 of the last 5 years. So I'll just leave it at that. Look, at the end of the day, I will wholeheartedly support the decision of my coaching staff. I mean, Lorenzo did an incredible job of getting us to where we were and everything else. I mean, I think we were 7-1 with Lorenzo as a starter. At the end of the day, the coaching staff is going to make what they believe is the best decision for us to win the game, no matter who that is that's playing. And so I think anybody that might have a difference of opinion of that is just ludicrous. And I'm not going to even get into that as well. Lorenzo is a hell of a ball player. Lorenzo will be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame player. It's one of the reasons why we signed Lorenzo. Lorenzo and Tommy worked very well together in their history in the past as well. But I mean, again, people can keep doing stuff that they want to do. We're going to keep doing what we're going to do, and that's resulting in us going to the championship game. And again, that's our expectation here in Omaha. So, like you said, Krish, Tommy Armstrong played for us for 2 seasons, never lost a game. And that game against Colorado, which is arguably the best defense in the league, I even talked to Tommy's agent. Tommy had the greatest game of his entire career playing the Omaha Beef the game before, Chris, you started spitting off his stats and everything else. Again, it's going in the championship game, roster spots are at a premium. I'm not going to get into player injuries as well and stuff like that. But it's a long season on a lot of people. And again, our coaching staff made what they thought was the best decision. Again, hats off to Beaumont, for winning the NAL championship. And for us, we've already started reloading again for the 2026 season. Again, people are allowed to have opinions. I'll respect their opinion. I might not agree with it, but I think our track record of going to 5 straight championship games, which hasn't happened very often, speaks to the players that we bring in, the coaches that we bring in, and our philosophy of what it is that we're trying to do. And I'm not going to apologize for any of it.
That's fair. That's fair. Honestly, given the context that you just added to the situation, if I was a parent and I was, 20, 30 feet away from my kid and he or she was being held by somebody else that I did not know and my wife was getting beat up, I'd be in the stands too. Hard to not feel what he was going through. So as a parent, there's not a scenario in the world that would have stopped me from going in those stands. And I probably would have been throwing haymakers, and I'm a pretty calm dude typically. So for him to go in there and have the composure not to swing and not to get involved in the fight, honestly, that speaks a lot about his character as well. So,
and again, like I said, Sam, there were 3 of them, and I commend all 3 of my players for, again, it's not a look that you ever want, but you're not going to see one single video at all, anything. I could send them to you, Sam, after we're off the phone. I had a lot of people that were fans of the other team yelling at us, getting our text message. I had some of my office staff there sending us, your people didn't do any wrong. It was this, it was that. It's here nor there. I'm not going to get into it. The situation could have been a lot worse. Could have been maybe something with security and stuff like that. You saw security people on the ground climbing up on the top, I know that Beaumont's looking at maybe doing some configurations with their boxes and stuff like that. All I'm going to say is that I will, whether it's right or wrong, whenever players do wrong, I will be the first one to say that they've done wrong. In this context, though, I think that there is a different context of what's happened in the past with people going in the stands. And not only do I feel that way, I saw that. There is not a single ounce of proof that would prove anything otherwise. Because again, not a single punch. My players are not enticing the crowd by what the F are you doing, this and that, and everything else. And I commend whoever that individual was that grabbed the daughter and everything else. I think he's probably a parent himself thinking that, hey, something's getting out of control here. It's not even my child, but as a parent, I'd want somebody to do this. Again, that's the dynamics of exactly how it went down. There's no other scenario on there. And again, I think it talks about the quality or the character of the guys that we have in Omaha for them to be up there when something's going on and they're 100% trying to diffuse the situation. And they're there. Like I said, I think as a parent myself, I'd be climbing the stands as well. So
Just to piggyback off what Ricky and them saying, me and Ricky ain't always got along, but I respect the shit out of him because he runs one of the best organizations in arena football. Besides him, Columbus, and a few others, those are the stables of arena football. You can't take that from them. So when Brian said they don't run a top class, that's not true. Omaha's has been one of the top class organizations from Marvin Jones, Victor Mann, to all the other coaches that came through. No matter what the coach was, they had the same results. So you cannot say they're not a top class organization. Now, Ricky, I do want to ask this. Going forward with Beaumont, are you implementing that they have more security at their games or things like that for these type of matters?
No, I think what it is Beaumont, like, so as you know, this Coach B, every arena's got different configurations and stuff like that. I mean, my suggestion, and this was a suggestion I made to the ownership group, and I'm not saying like anything on their security. I didn't think they might have just had security in the wrong places, you know. Their player benches, Coach B, are very close to one another. There is a box that separates them. Well, during the game, Coach B, I was talking to one of the owner's wives, and I said, if this was me and this was my arena, hey, I'm going to ask you one thing. Hey, Coach B, what's the most important rule in real estate, Coach B? You're muted. I can't hear you. The number one rule in real estate.
Making sure everybody's safe and making sure you got the best.
No. In real estate, I said in real estate, what's the number one rule in real estate?
To make sure you sell the best product.
And now, well, it's all about location. And so, you know, Coach B, they have roughly 80 feet right there at midfield, tied up between the player bench boxes and everything else. So I don't know about you, Coach B. Everybody loves a box at midfield. So I told the owner, I said, from a business standpoint, if this was my organization, I would move the player benches to the opposite ends of the end zone. All right. Nobody's down there anyways. So these issues of players being coached, which, as you know, Coach B, is a very heated dynamic as well to begin with. I mean, because there was some of their staff members came over to our side of the bench of what was going on, which that's not, I mean, that makes problems as well. Whenever players or coaches on their team come over into our box area, which that happened, that's on YouTube, you know what I mean? But when they come on over, I made a suggestion. Why don't you put the teams in opposite end zones where you have the teams as far apart from one another, but then all of a sudden you open up all these boxes you can sell at midfield that you can sell for $5-6 grand a pop. That's probably $30,000 more in revenue that you could capitalize on, because who's not going to want to box that midfield of an indoor football game right up against the wall and everything else? That's probably the first thing you're going to sell. And the lady was like, oh my God, that's just, I mean, I said, I've been doing this for 2+ decades. That's what I would do. And then also on top of that, Coach B and Krish and everybody else, it's the area where there's no fans at, with that arena configuration and stuff. So this dynamic of fans being right above the player box area and stuff like that, you eliminate that from a safety standpoint to get into what you were talking about, where, hey, there's not as much of a security issue because the guys are on the opposite ends. It's really windy where you're at. I can see your shirt blowing there. But anyway, so no, I mean, it's again, Beaumont is an incredible ownership group. I want to make sure I line that out. They've learned an awful lot in their first year. They've done something that I don't know if it's ever been done before in the history of indoor football, where an expansion team wins a league championship. Maybe it's been done. I don't know. So my hat's off to them. But they're still learning as well. But they're not intentionally making mistakes or errors. And so if it's from a security standpoint or whatever of doing some stuff, or even simple suggestions about, hey, where we could potentially put player boxes at, to where we separate that potential happening between same teams, fans, and everything else. Because one of the things that we love about this game is that you're so close to the action, but also too, at the same time, that creates a different kind of dynamic from people that are very passionate as well about the game. So again, we gotta make smart business decisions, as not only from a business standpoint, but from a player safety as well. And I have no doubt that Beaumont's going to implement that.
And I see what you're saying. Having the field boxes on the 50-yard line, that's prime real estate for a team. So it does make sense to have teams at opposing ends, especially competitive teams like that. You never want them together.
I got you. Well, and but we can jump onto this now. I'd love to talk about the Lorenzo Brown, Tommy Armstrong, Coach Lobin's comments. I mean, get Coach Lobin on here. You know what I mean? So, I mean, whatever. I mean, one of the things is if you play in Omaha and I'll say in Omaha, but anywhere where you have success, you have to be prepared to handle that success, you know. And every now and then, I mean, I don't say stuff 90% of the time, but every now and then somebody wants to take shots at us, and hey, everybody has an opinion, no problem, you know. But like I said, Coach Lobin, we were in the playoffs and everything else while you were at home. You continue to run your team how you want to run your team. We'll continue to run ours, and we'll see who's in the championship game year after year.
Proof's in the pudding, right? Definitely love that. Real quick, I mean, obviously I wasn't anticipating on you coming on here, but I'm curious. I mean, with the performance that he had through the rest of the season, do we see Coach Negron back in 2026?
Coach Negron is if you look at our 2026 loading screen, Coach Negron is our coach. And like I said, hats off to Beaumont. Hats off to them for beating us. I tell people all the time, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. If you don't like the odds, don't play the game. All right. And so whenever you get to the championship game, somebody's going to lose, whether it's us or them. I, of course, wanted to win the game, but I'll say this, I'll say that with Coach Negron, had we won the championship game, I was prepared to say that, hey, I'm excited about this, that in all the championships that I've won, if we would have won that, Coach Negron will be the first coach that I've won multiple championships with. So Coach Negron is our coach for not only 2026, but a full expectation of 2027, 28, and beyond. Coach has actually got a coaching job. Coach Negron's got a coaching job with one of the local high schools here in Omaha, at Buena Vista. So I'm excited for that. Coach is moving his family here and stuff. He believes in what is going on and stuff like that. He believes in what's going on here in Omaha. And he says this all the time, that, hey, this is he's a Yankees fan like me, this is his New York Yankees, and he'll be damned if he's going to ever do anything or allow it to be screwed up, So I'm appreciative of all of our previous coaches that we've had. Coach V, you talked about him, from Marvin Jones to Coach Kerwin to Rayshawn Kaiser, Coach Tatum, they have helped build us to where we are. Coach Negron is our coach for next season, and to be fully transparent, I expect that to be for many years beyond. And I'm hoping that I have full expectation that Coach Negron will be the first ever coach that I have that I will win multiple championships with.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. As you know, we're huge fans of Coach Negron here. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with all the resources that Omaha provides to their coaches. And I think that with him being able to focus on the football side of things, we might see a whole different side of his coaching that we haven't seen to this point yet. So I'm very excited. Guys, any other questions for Ricky, or can we send him on his way for the day?
What's in store for next season, Ricky? You always keep something under your sleeve. That's why I love it.
It's good.
I'll tell you, Coach B, and like you said before, I don't have anything up my sleeve. I'm excited about some of the things for the league that we're working on, but me, I'm always going to try to push the envelope. I always try to just get bigger and better at what it is that we do. And I'll say it. They say imitation is the highest form of flattery. I always love the fact when we do something one year, I see the following year there's multiple teams throughout several leagues that are duplicating what it is that we're doing, So, again, I don't know what that's going to be yet, but no, it's again, I said it, and Coach B, you said it best, we don't always see eye to eye on stuff, whatever, but I respect your opinion, you respect mine, and that's the beauty of everything. I'm not always right. I know that I'm not always right. Sometimes I'm wrong on stuff or whatever, but I'm going to stick to what I've done that's gotten me this far, that's gotten Omaha this far. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we're constantly trying to improve what it is that we do. And I can tell you that Omaha will be, I don't want to ever say people get complacent, but whenever you're on top, but when you've been knocked off on top, it makes you even hungrier than what you were before to get back there. It's hard to stay there. The last 5 years, all the games, all the things that we've accomplished, all the things that have taken place, going from winning a first championship to having an undefeated season and doing again and everything else. If you ask me what my top two memories were of the last 5 years, my number one and number two, without a doubt, will be losing the championship in 2022 and losing the championship earlier this week. So that's the kind of stuff that's going to drive us and motivate us that, hey, we're going to get right back to doing what we did. And I'm not going to, I know other people are going to try their best as well, but it just makes us even hungry and more passionate about what it is where we got to get back to where we are, because now we've gone from being the hunted to now we're the hunter again. And I'm excited to start hunting again right away.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Thank you so much for your time today, Ricky.
I'll let you go, Sam. Hey, I appreciate everything that all you guys do, from Krish to Coach B to TJ and everybody else at Shady Sports. Thanks for what you do for the industry. Thanks for letting me jump on here. Again, there's some things that I'm very passionate about. And of course, it all started off at first, like, hey, with the stuff in the stands with the players and stuff like that. I encourage everybody that go watch it for yourself and look for your own opinion and stuff like that. and then put in the context of the basis of what happened that I shared with you guys. And I would just be hard pressed to find a lot of other people that would do the same thing with them. And on top of that, for them to have the composure that they did, again, not escalating things. And then again, hats off to Beaumont. And hey, Coach Loban, thanks for your comments. You just fire us up even more. I want to give a big shout out to Lorenzo Brown. Hey, Zoe did an awful lot for us as well as the rest of the team. Still proud that we made it to a 5th straight championship, but we're already working on making it 6th straight.
Do we see Lorenzo or Tommy back next season?
Yeah, that'll be a coach and a grown decision. You know what I mean? It's, I don't want to get into certain things. This might be I'll say, unprofessional of me to say, but, Lorenzo Brown had an MRI on his shoulder Wednesday of this week. And I'm not bullshitting that or whatever. Anybody knows, though, can ask him. That might give you some insight into what went on in the game and everything else. Does that mean that Zoe wouldn't go out there and try to win the game and stuff like that? Again, probably stuff I shouldn't have even said, in regards to Tommy. Appreciate Tommy coming back and playing for us. He's actually now living in Texas. We got back Tuesday at around 3 o'clock. Tommy was closing on his house in Lincoln and closing on his new house they were purchasing in Texas. So just very appreciative of not only Tommy and Jalen. We got to have hats off to Jalen, his wife. We know whenever you sit there and have as a football player, we get a lot of support from people around us. You have a wife with 2 newborn kids, staying at home, moving across several states and all that. Hey, Tommy, you go play football. You go do this for one last ride with your guys here in Omaha. I'll hold everything down at home. It's people like Jalen Armstrong, not only for Tommy, but for people across this whole industry. Sam, you've got kids. We hear your kids in the background sometime. I know their mom is watching them and taking care of and doing stuff with them to allow you to do this on the show, stuff with Krish, stuff with Coach B. There's a lot of people that allow us to do this, and I always want to make sure we give props to those kind of people as well, too.
Definitely would not be here if it weren't for my wife. Definitely love that shout out. And thank you, Jalen Armstrong, for allowing Tommy to play one last time. It was always a pleasure to watch him play. And he's really one of those guys that he's just a true professional. Every interaction I've ever had with Tommy is nothing but polite, respectful. It's impossible not to root for that guy to have success in whatever he is doing. So love to hear that shout out and wish him the best of luck in whatever's next for him.
So, well, I'll shut up, guys. I've talked way too much. Sam, thanks for getting me on. Appreciate all you guys. You guys have a good one.
Definitely. Thanks for watching as well. We appreciate it.
See you guys.
Have a good one. All right. Once again, that's Ricky Birds, the owner of the Omaha Beef. Sometimes when you're live, you get some surprise guests. And, obviously Ricky had been paying attention and saw some of the comments that were being said and some of the situations we were talking about, wanted to give his 2 cents. So gotta love that little bit of context that none of us had prior to this conversation. So I'm glad to hear that. And I can go back and now look at it and see, how I feel about it after knowing, the beef side of things, because that had really not been put out there as of yet. So
I'm fascinated by this Coach Tony comment. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, me too. The talent pool of coaches are about to get better at NAL, but good luck to the beef. And then this comment, it was what really made me wonder. So I'm curious, Coach, are you hinting at something? You may be making a trip to the NAL in 2026, or is Duluth making a move? Definitely interested to see exactly what you meant by that. You apparently
I want Coach Tony so bad in the IFL, man. Like, I want to play him in Mass. That's my dream matchup. Mass versus Duluth in Mass, bro. Oh, my God. Man, I already told our emergency medical team, man, get ready next year because Duluth is coming. It's about to be – that's going to be fun, man. I can't wait if that day ever comes. But
that's fair. So we have one more subject that I wanted to get out of the way today. And I wanted to get your guys' thought process on this, but we obviously have all seen the news that Columbus Lions have opened up ownership opportunities for the 2026 season. I don't know about you guys on this subject, but I got a lot of concerned messages from people saying, oh no, is this an issue for Columbus? Should we be concerned about their team? Are they going to have issues in the future because of this? And I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't have any inside information on Columbus at all. I don't really talk to anybody in that organization that would give me any inside information on why they opened up this ownership opportunities. But I will say, without a shadow of the doubt, I don't think Columbus is going anywhere. I think this is a move by them to bring in more capital because they, for the first time in 3 seasons, were not as competitive as they would have liked. So whether that's to bring in a higher caliber of player, whether it's just to ensure that they're around for many years to come and are able to continue competing for championships, this does not concern me in the slightest. Does not concern me in the slightest when it comes to the longevity of the Lions. I think they're just being smart and they're trying to stay ahead of their financial situation, whatever it may be. We also saw before this season that they worked with Tommy Benizio, which we posted about earlier this week, is working with the Washington Wolfpack. He's worked with the Colorado Spartans. He worked with the entire TAL, the entire ENTFLA, and many other teams throughout the years as a consultant to help kind of situate organizations in a manner to where they can operate and hopefully get close to or above that profit margin that everybody wants to see. So I personally think Columbus is just taking every possible action they can to make sure that they're sustainable for the long term. But what are your guys' thoughts? Let's go to Coach B on this one first.
I think they taking the book out of the GOAT playbook, just adding more ownership. Casey's been doing it a while by himself. He probably just need to add a little extra something on. He's been going strong, and I my hats off to Casey down there. Ever since I was a player, he's been running the Columbus Lions in the right, most respectable way. So it don't hurt to get other people involved to help you out financially and do everything.
Absolutely. Krish, your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing as Coach B, just kind of, get some more partners on board, help grow the brand and, maybe get that higher level of player like you were speaking of. So,
yeah, like I said, I'm not concerned at all. And honestly, I love the fact that fans are beginning to become so astute that they realize that when some of this stuff happens, it might be a sign of something bad to come. But I don't think in this particular case it is. You got to look at the overall body of work for Columbus, and I think this is them just being smart. Coach O'Neill is foreshadowing a little bit because he is scheduled to come on the show next week. So make sure you guys all tune in next week. Coach O'Neill will be on here with us to talk about the TAL and the Duluth Harbor Monsters. So that is for sure going to be an entertaining episode. If you don't follow Tony O'Neill on Facebook, I highly recommend you do. He is definitely a very vocal coach and makes for a very interesting and entertaining follow for sure. But we're going to go ahead and transition over to the AF1. We've spent a lot of time on the NAL championship, all of that stuff, and then as well as talking to the West Texas Warbirds, who again are definitely not going to the NAL. But yeah, we're gonna hit another commercial. We'll come back with the AF1.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school. This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
All right, so transitioning over to the AF1, there's a couple topics to talk about today. In fact, hold on just a sec. I need to address this comment. What happened to that meeting with the ENTFLA? Well, let me talk about that for a moment. I was not going to address this. I really have been just kind of riding with the ebbs and flows of that particular interview. We have been trying to set up this interview with the league, specifically with the league owner. His name is Doug Freeman, since May 22nd. It is now June 21st. So tomorrow will literally be a full month. I get it. The dude is extremely busy. There's a lot going on with the league. He's trying to play some version of damage control currently. So I think that's part of why he has not come on yet, but he has pushed back that interview 3 separate times now. We still have an open invitation to him to come on. He has said that he wants to come on in 2 weeks, and that was about a week ago. I will not be updating that particular interview on the YouTube channel until I have it set in stone, and I will not necessarily be promoting that interview until we know for a fact that it has already happened. So I appreciate you asking about that, Mike. I do not recognize your name, so I really appreciate you tuning in and following along with us. And I would love if you chose to subscribe to the channel and then turn on those notifications to stick with us. We are growing very quickly as of late, and we are on the road to 2,500 subscribers. So we would love to have you on board and keep moving forward. But we really appreciate you keeping in tune with everything that's going on. There is a lot going on with the ENTFLA, and we wanted to have some announcements come out, but as of right now, they have decided to hold off on that for now. So hopefully we can get that knocked out pretty soon here. But there's a little bit going on behind the scenes there, so hopefully everything works out with us and Mr. Freeman. But to get back to the AF1, there is quite a few different subject matters to discuss today. I think since we started with ownership discussions with the TAL, we should probably start there. And it was recently reported by a person on Twitter that I am actually not very familiar with, that Nashville has added Michael Waltrip to their ownership group. I have not confirmed this yet, so take it with a grain of salt. But what are you guys' thoughts about a name like Michael Waltrip, a NASCAR racer who is very well known, by the way, joining the ownership group of the Nashville Cats? Coach B?
Just appalled. Like, I keep seeing Nashville grow. You got Gruden, you got this guy come in, you got Fisher. Everybody's building Nashville up, but what about the rest of the league? Nashville has enough stability. It's time for you to start putting work into the other rest of the league. We just heard from West Texas. They're not going to the AF1. It got to be because of a reason. They don't feel it's stable or secure. So I love that Nashville's adding all this fuel, but how much money can you put into one organization where the rest of the league is not even halfway coping on your level? Albany, Nashville is on a different level than every other team in the league financially. Even Billings can be up there, but Billings right now, Steve Titus don't want to spend the money that he did last year. Last year it was Billings, Albany, and Nashville spending big bread. So I'm just appalled. Like, Nashville is just getting bigger and bigger and putting more money into that program, and the results still ain't been what we want them to be for Nashville.
That's fair. Krish, your thoughts?
Yeah, Coach B took the words right out of my mouth. I really got nothing to say, but, I mean, you look at Nashville's roster now. I mean, Shaquille Holiness, Daquan Artist, Kenny Veal, Robert Jones, all of these guys. Can you imagine what they're about to do next year with this new ownership? I mean, they're going to get all the best players, like Albany. So, I think we need to balance it out a little more for all the other teams in the league.
I completely understand these concerns. I would say that, obviously all these teams are operating on an individual basis. So I don't know that Nashville is necessarily going out and trying to find owners for other teams per se. But yeah, I would definitely say that it would be nice to see. What's that?
Yeah, Fisher should be, because he's the league commissioner. Even though you're a part owner or whatever you is for Nashville, you're a commissioner. So your job is to build the league. You and the director of operations for the league and the owners of the league, your job should be going out finding sponsors or big national sponsors and other national owners for other teams. It only makes sense. Like, that's how you build a league. IFL ownership group, they make sure whatever they bring in is best for the whole league, not just for the team.
That's fair to a certain extent, and especially considering Fisher is the commissioner. But I would wonder if the goal is for him to eventually not have to be the majority owner or a big portion of the Nashville Cats, and maybe that's why they're kind of focusing on the ownership group there, to keep them stable, but then also to allow him to focus more on the league than the Cats on a micro scale. But at the same time, I would also say that it would be nice to see some influx of cash infusion on some of these other teams. He just said right there, Nashville, Albany are kind of in a level all by themselves. Right now there aren't too many teams that can spend like they do to get players up there. And it's shown. Nashville on paper is probably one of the most talented teams in the league, might be the most talented team in the league, to be honest. That we've seen some of the players they've cycled through this year. There really has not been any player on that squad that I think is untalented by any stretch. But at the same time, I just wonder if this isn't, part of a bigger picture situation that we don't necessarily have the full scope of yet. So that'll be interesting to kind of follow along. And again, Nashville is one of those organizations where I don't have any insider information. I don't know what the goal is there. I don't know why they keep adding owners. I don't know if it's just for drawing people to the games or what it is. But on a strict appearances level, I think it's a good thing. Anytime you can tie arena football to another sport that has a very big following like NASCAR, I think you need to do that. You need to explore that ownership, because at the end of the day, you might draw in fans that otherwise would have never looked the way of the Nashville Cats. And Wookie, our resident NASCAR aficionado and expert, he says Michael Waltrip is a local for Nashville. So that's good to hear, and that probably was a big reason why he wanted to buy in. The Cats brand is obviously established. So maybe that's why he's there. But regardless of what the reasoning is, I think it's good for the team, and what is ultimately good for any individual team is realistically good for the league long term. But I do understand the concerns. It would be nice to see a little bit more of a widespread interest in purchasing into these teams. So that is definitely a fair point without a doubt. So let's move on to the next big topic, and it all revolves around the playoffs. But basically, Southwest Kansas held the playoff fates of four separate teams in their hands over the past 2 weeks, and all they had to do was win one game against Salina, and they wound up losing by a total of 3 points. Rough into the season for them. Obviously, you never want to lose games. Great into the season for Salina. Obviously, they won both those games. They needed to make the playoffs, so they have come in, or they have earned the 4th seed. Southwest Kansas slips down to the 3rd seed, and with their loss, Nashville gets a home playoff game where they will host the Southwest Kansas Storm. So with all of that, obviously huge shakeup based on one game alone, but on the grander scale of things, a question I wanted to ask to both of you guys: is it not a good thing for the league that literally the very last regular season game of the season decided the playoff fates of 4 teams? Is that not the definition of parity within the league? Let's go to Coach B first.
I think it was great for the league. Like we said, the championship game for the NAL boosted them. I think this boosted the AF1 because we had so many questions and so many what ifs. Then you come down, the league got better and stronger, I think, towards the end of the season. And I'm just going to honestly say that. I think it was down to any team, anywhere. The league was leveled out, and it just made more sense for it to happen that way. And it made everybody on the edge of their seat. So when you intrigue, you get more followers, you get more viewers, you get more people. So I think it happened the right way.
I would agree. Krish, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't have said it better. You want that for your league. You want your league to be a talking point. I think it's great, honestly.
Agreed. Now let's break down the game itself. Obviously, a tough way to lose for Southwest Kansas. They had control of the game more often than not throughout it. And then at the very end, there was some mistakes on the part of Southwest Kansas that allowed Salina to take control of the ball with very little time left on the clock, and allowed them to kick a field goal. So let's just go ahead and get into your thoughts, Coach B. what did you see that we may not have noticed as from a coach's perspective?
I normally don't agree with Chris when he say certain stuff because he just come out of nowhere with it. But the last few weeks, Coach Thomas has been lost under 3 minutes. He has not no game plan, know what to do. And that I think that's part of him being a new coach to the arena league or to indoor period. But with that many coaches, because they got the most coaches on the coaching staff out of any other team, you guys have to come together with a game plan. The assistant coaches got to keep their head coach on their toes. They have to find a way to adjust in the last 3 minutes of the game because the last 3 or 4 weeks they've been horrible at adjusting and coaching in the last few minutes of the game.
That's a fair point. I mean, obviously, the proof is in the pudding, as always. You play the games for a reason. If we just looked at them on paper and chalked up wins every week, Southwest Kansas might be 11-1 right now. Krish, what are your thoughts?
Man, Coach Thomas, I love you, man, but the polar bear strikes again, right? I mean, what can I say? I mean, under a minute, I said it freezes. Time stops. It gets too quick. And then it's like, what are they doing? Why are they not running the ball? We know they don't have a good center. Well, no, but the center's perfect because they kept him all season. So he must not be an issue, right? Even though he cost them, 6, 8 points in 2 weeks, right? 3 safeties. But no, I mean, and then it's like, oh, we can kick a field goal, with our kicker, Dylan Burkhardt. We have a whole retirement ceremony like he's the best kicker in the world, right? Might as well put a statue up for him. I don't remember the last time he hit a game-winning field goal. But, no, I think at the end of the day, like, it's hard, man. But, Coach Thomas, man, I just want to congratulate you on a great season. Second most wins in the AF1. Cancun might be too warm for you, so maybe somewhere like Switzerland or Antarctica will be a good vacation spot. But start booking your tickets today, man. I mean, it's good to get the Saturday deal, man. Why are you gonna wait till Sunday? You know what's about to happen. Give me Nashville, man. By 10 to 15 points, it's over, man. It's over for the Storm. Dark times in Southwest Kansas only get darker. 3 losses in a row. I'm sorry, man, but there's no way they win this game, and we'll get into it. But Southwest Kansas had a 0% chance to beat Nashville, and I'll say that on air.
Thank you for that. Let me take a note real quick of when that happened. 2 hours, 1 minute into the show. I will definitely be clipping that if Southwest Kansas wins, just so you know. And something tells me Coach Thomas is more focused on booking a trip to Albany than he is to Antarctica anytime soon.
And I see this comment by my boy Ricky Burtz, man. I'm taking Southwest Kansas over Nashville. Southwest Kansas has 3 healthy receivers, 4 healthy DBs, a new DB they just signed, and they actually have 2 healthy receivers. The third is not a receiver. He's a running back, receiver, quarterback, like a high school dual threat, versatile guy that they have. So, I mean, there's no way, man. Against that DB room, Sean Lewis, Amos, and Kenny Veal, nah, Southwest had no chance, man. It's over. The season is over.
Hey, Krish, what school did Jairus Grissom go to?
Iowa State, right?
Story. Well, it was actually multiple schools. What position did he play in college?
Quarterback.
That is a false statement, my friend. He played wide receiver.
No, he played quarterback in his first 3 stops. 2 stops. That's what Coach Thomas said. And then he switched to receiver.
Yeah. Okay. He played wide receiver at basically every stop because of his skills at quarterback. But either way, he played wide receiver in college. So just saying that they have 3 healthy receivers.
Where's Deshaun Young at? I thought Deshaun Young was supposed to be a breakout candidate. I haven't seen Deshaun Young all season, so I don't know where Deshaun Young is, but maybe that would have been a good player to keep around, especially down in clutch time. But, again, I mean, you can go in with the best team in the league or second best team in the league with 2 healthy receivers and, try your luck, but it just won't happen, so.
What? Just what? I don't even know what to say to that. Who said anything about Deshaun Young?
Charles Hall and D-Wash. And me and Coach B, we all know D-Wash, he runs the team basically, right? Like he's a big vocal leader, man. So, I mean, you have another coach on the field, So I mean, D. Ross, man, congrats on a great career, my guy. It's been awesome, man. It's been awesome, but it's over, man.
B. Wash and B. Trey Mack just run that team.
Yes, sir. we know how it is, man. We know the real Southwest Kansas now.
But the real thing is, let's just be realistic. The last 3 games, under a minute left to go in the game, they haven't been able to get a first down. That's unheard of.
You're not wrong. I'm not arguing that. I just think it's kind of funny that everybody's
But why not
piling
kick
on
a field
Southwest
goal? Why
Kansas.
not kick a field goal with Dylan Burkhardt when you're up 52-50 instead of throwing an interception? Like, you run the ball 3 times and then you kick a field goal. Like I said, you think he's the best kicker in the league. You have a retirement ceremony for him. Like, really?
What?
Like,
There was no retirement ceremony.
yes, there was. They stopped the game. The game they lost to what Salina. Remember, they played the song and like it was all emotional, you know. Yeah,
So,
I have a video of it.
they
It's
played
great.
a song, and that's a retirement ceremony.
Yeah, it was
Like,
basically a
okay, dude,
retirement
whatever.
ceremony at halftime for Dylan Burkhardt. I
Okay,
love Dylan, but I can't remember how many playoff wins Dylan Burkhardt has as a Southwest Kansas Storm. I think it's close to 0, but
hey,
it's
by the way, who's the only player who has literally played for the Southwest Kansas Storm since the year they began?
I'm not saying he
Tell
doesn't.
now. Hold on, no, Krish, you always want to make these ridiculous points. Who is the only player that's always played for the Southwest Kansas Storm?
Dylan
Name him.
Burkhardt.
Thank you.
But he lives in
Does he
Dodge
not
City.
deserve the recognition for the fact that he is choosing to retire after the season? Does he
Yes,
not deserve that?
no, he does, but there's a time and place. There's a time and
Okay.
place.
So 2 seconds ago, it's a problem that they stopped the game and honor him in the last home game of the season. But now you understand it because he's the longest tenured player in franchise history.
52-50. It's 52-50. Run the ball. They have 2 timeouts and then kick a field goal with their prize kicker.
What I'm discussing right now has nothing to do with play calling. So you deflecting just proves how far off base your statement just was.
No, it
That's
doesn't.
literally all you're doing is deflecting from the point that I just made. Dylan Burkhardt is the longest tenured player for the Southwest Kansas Storm, and for them to not honor him at the game would have been an embarrassment to the franchise. And the fact that all they did was play a song for him, to me, seems kind of crazy considering what he's done for that team. Has he been the greatest kicker of all time for every franchise ever? No, he has not been. But he's also been the only player who has made it through 4 seasons with the Southwest Kansas Storm. And that's through 3 different head coaches, multiple different other coaching staffs. I mean, give the guy some credit. I get it. You want to poop on Southwest Kansas Storm every chance you get this season.
I know.
completely understand that. No, you do. You do. It's okay. We already talked about this yesterday.
All right. No, you know what? I respect, what y'all do over there, but I mean, you can celebrate Dylan Burkhardt. He deserves it. Coach Thomas, book another ticket for your, vacation to Switzerland. You can bring Dylan with you, right? A 2 postseason trip, so it'll be fun. But yeah, congrats on a great season, man. I mean, you really did a great job, Coach Thomas. Winning season, 7-6. It's gonna be amazing. But I was looking forward to seeing you next week in Albany, man. But it won't happen. So yeah, let's go Nashville, man.
Those are a lot of words to eat next week. Just saying. You better hope they actually lose. Otherwise, you're going to have a rough week on this episode or next week's episode. Just saying. Because I'm going to throw all this stuff in your face, just so we know.
Sam, realistically, do you think they got a chance to beat Nashville? I want to hear your take.
Absolutely, I do. Everybody wants to sit here and say, oh, Southwest Kansas can't compete in close games, yada, yada, yada. Do we all forget that we beat Nashville in week 0 by 14 or by 16 points against a CFL and NFL quarterback, by the way?
They have Chris McKinney calling the offense. Now they have Anthony Payton. It's a huge difference. They also have a whole new O-line. So
I didn't ask any of that. I did not ask a single question of that. Did the Southwest Kansas Storm beat Nashville week 0? Yes, they did. Did they lose to Nashville a couple weeks ago? Absolutely they did. By 4 points. 4 points. Right? Everybody wants to talk all this smack on Southwest Kansas all season long. They're literally 9 points away from being on a 1-loss team. Yes. Has Coach Thomas made some mistakes along the way? Absolutely he has. But at the same time, where is the hate for the other teams that were 3-5 before they decided to start playing football this year? Josh, I see you in the comments over there, buddy. Where is all this criticism for Coach O that stuck with Javin Kilgo for how many weeks, throwing a league-leading interceptions before he finally decided to make a change?
To intercept that, though, Coach O was dealing with other issues as far as he couldn't bring in some guys because certain things behind the scenes. So when he was able to bring in a quarterback, he brought in the GOAT. And look at the season now. Even if you're saying, though, Kilgore just beat y'all twice.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that, but at the same time, like, all these other teams have had their issues too. When are we gonna point out the fact that Nashville lost that game in week 0 because of the roster they built? When are we going to point out the fact that Billings is not in the playoffs right now because of the roster they built, because of the coaching decisions they made throughout the seasons? When are we going to talk about the fact that Salina had to win their final 2 games in order to even make the playoffs? That's the thing that drives me insane about this season. Southwest Kansas has caught more crap from everybody throughout this arena football world than any other team, and they're 7-5, guys. Second best record in the league.
And you could have won 10 games had you got a center, right? You had all season to get a new center, but obviously that wasn't a priority for Coach Thomas, right? He thought the center was perfectly fine, so I don't know what to say about that.
I think no, that's not true. So now you're just talking out your ass, which is fine. You want to talk out your butt? You go ahead, buddy. That makes you look like a fool, not everybody else. But at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want. Whatever you want. There's a couple facts about this season. Southwest Kansas finished with the second most wins in the league, and they beat every team in the league except for two. Oregon and Albany. Past that, talk all the crap.
Oregon, though, they should have never lost to Oregon.
No, they shouldn't have. You're right. They should not have.
And
without a doubt, they should not have.
Who expected Nashville to even make the playoffs this year? I love Coach Harbett. He's a great coach, but he's been out the game so long. I didn't expect him to come back and be able to relate this fast. So honestly, I thought it was going to take Coach Harbett to build himself back up another year. But he came and he adjusted like a true championship coach does. I'm just saying, now we could talk about other teams. You said we don't talk about other teams. Me and you went back and forth the other day, Sam, about Washington.
Yeah.
Washington needs a new coaching staff. You keep saying he's only been there 2 years, but when your players and your coaching staff have meetings about they don't want you to be the head coach, it's time for you to go. And he has no AFL experience. He has no arena or indoor experience. He's been a semi-pro coach for 2 years, and the only reason he really got the job, let's be honest, because one of the owners is his semi-pro owner, and they brung him, and it's cheaper to keep him than hire a real coach.
That's very possible.
Your GM left because you won't fire your coaching staff.
But
Chris, we had this conversation yesterday with players. You said, "Oh, he's only been there 2 years." 2 years, and
what were my other points about that, though?
They have the
Washington has the lowest payroll in the league by a long shot.
I don't think
Washington has the newest ownership in the league by a long shot.
Last year was the lowest paid organization last year out of any team, and they still had a better record than Washington. And I don't care what you say. I was there in Wichita. I know for a fact we wasn't paying no players.
I completely understand that, but last season was completely different. When you have a $1,000 number that you're promising players, you're going to get pretty good players. And then when the salary drops and it's mid-season and it's 3, 4, 5 weeks into the year and it's already May.
Come on,
June,
Sam. I'm telling you right now.
Go?
I played in IFL when we were only getting $250 a week. So $400 a week. I'm not complaining. That's what we wanted. We asked the IFL to raise pay. So when AF1 is going minimum 400, that's enough to get quality players. It's all about players wanting to come and play for that coach. A lot of players don't want to play for that coach. From what I heard, he sends out a 12-page essay before he even gets a player. You got to fill out a 12-page questionnaire. Who does that?
Somebody who probably wants all the information on that player. I mean, I don't understand why that's a problem.
It is, and I agree with Coach B. I'm siding with Coach B here, man. Like,
I'm
why is
shocked.
why is Oregon why was Oregon able to take a Dalton Cole who struggled in Amarillo last year and turn him into an all-league caliber player? Why are they able to? I mean, Sidney Jones knows this, man. They got a kid on their team, my boy Maurice Ashley, number 8, 508 made, man. Maurice came from semi-pro, and he's an all-league kick returner in the AFL, AF1. So, you know what I mean? Like, you can find good players.
Oregon has a lower payroll than Washington. Oregon and Washington,
Yes.
both the lowest payroll, so you can't say that. They got the same.
Exactly.
I've talked to Jones personally where he's not paying no players like that at all.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I completely commend Oregon for being able to do what they do. But at the same time, look at their record. I mean, yeah, they won some games, and that's great. And at the very end of the season, they were competitive with Billings too. But are they in the playoffs? No, they are not. So
but
at the end of the day,
why is Ricky able to build up? I know this is totally different league, but why is Ricky able not? Ricky doesn't pay guys, 800, 900, 700, you know what I mean? Like, he's able to pay guys minimum and get all the best players, right?
Krish, answer your question for me, because I know you know the answer. Answer the question for me.
What question?
The question you just asked. How is Ricky able to get players to the beef?
Yeah.
Is it the pay, or is it the way he treats them?
It's the way
is
he
it what
treats
they
them.
get the second they come to town?
It's the way they treat them. But Washington has a good setup. They have good housing. They have everything, so they can still be competitive. That's what my point is. It's like they're no cute.
I don't understand that comparison at all. You're talking about one of the longest tenured teams in all of indoor football versus a team that 2 years ago didn't even exist. So are the amenities that they provide going to be the same level that what the
Seattle,
Omaha
Washington,
provides?
man. Like, you're missing. You're not considering like Seattle, Washington, Everett is one of the most beautiful places in the country. Players want to go to Seattle. Players want to play in that city, man. There's people that dream to live there, and so I mean, I thought that Akil all the time, man. Like, he loves it up there, but like, you have to create a culture. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I think they have an opportunity, and I know this, and I'm not gonna put him on blast, but he has opportunities to get the best players, and he, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta open up your player pool. You can't just, keep it small. So that's just my opinion. I agree with Coach B. I think, if they keep him, they need to get more of a staff. That's all.
I'm not sitting here and saying that the job that J.R. Wells has done coaching-wise is great. Obviously, if he was doing a great job, his record would look a lot closer to what Oregon has done. But at the same time, like, to hear this part of the conversation is just crazy to me. So I mean, I don't know. Like I said, comparing Omaha to Washington, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Krish, but Seattle, Washington is all the way on the West Coast. So are you really going to recruit players from the East Coast? Why
was Oregon able to get 4 players from the East Coast and good quality players?
You're talking about Dalton Cole. Do you remember how he got to Oregon?
Yes, he got traded from Orlando.
Exactly. So did he sign with Oregon, or did he get traded to Oregon to make the best of the situation?
He never had to go. He could say, "Nah, I don't want to go to Oregon." He could have done that. There's a lot of players who've been traded. I mean, I think you tried to trade a player, or like your team tried to trade a player to somewhere, and like that happened, whatever. But like, no, you don't have to go. If you sign from the East Coast, Southwest Kansas had 8 players refuse to report this year, right? You don't have to go until that speaks to the culture that Coach Jones is building. Players want to play for him.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but we're not talking about Oregon. We're talking about Washington. And my point is that
coach fought a player in Washington. Play for a coach who's throwing punches with a player.
All right, like I said, I'm just gonna leave it be at this point. I can't with you guys today. Absolutely not that they did not, Josh.
Washington has one of the best setups as far as living, housing. They have a good ownership. They don't have a terrible ownership. Like, Honestly, I think they had the best presentation as far as uniforms, helmets, all that the last 2 years out of any other organization in the AF1. So to say that they probably spend the least on players, but to me, the least in AF1 is some league minimums in other leagues. So I feel like you can get quality players if you do the right due diligence as a coach, scouting, and just doing your job. So plus you got to have a hell of a game plan. To be a head coach, you got to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed ahead of time. You can't just go in there with a mini game plan and think, oh, this is what we're going to do. I really think I don't think JR was prepared. I've met him at league meetings before. I just don't think he was really prepared for this gig. Coming from semi-pro, you've been a semi-pro, it's totally different. And people say, oh, it ain't. It is totally different. Semi-pro and professional football is two totally different avenues.
Oh, I can't even begin to make an argument that it's not. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to knock a team for making a decision to hire J.R. Wells. I mean, if you've met the guy, you know why a team wants him as a coach. I mean, he has infectious energy. Nobody can argue that.
Too much energy. Sometimes I feel like he was way too riled up for certain situations.
That might be.
But I'm excited to get to our playoff and betting predictions today too, because I got a lot to say on the betting.
Guys, I'm 100% last
Yeah,
week on my picks,
I can't hear what you're saying, Coach.
I said, remember last week I'm 100% on all my picks.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I guess we'll go ahead and go into the betting segment, and we'll go ahead and end this, wrap this up quicker. All right, give me just a second to get this all pulled up. I was not ready to transition quite yet, but that's no big deal. But anyway, Coach or Krish, what are your thoughts so far for this upcoming weekend?
I can't see the photo for the lines and stuff.
I'm trying to pull it up. Give me a minute.
Hold up. All right, so yeah, I'll start with AF1. I mean, like I said, Nashville is about to beat Southwest Kansas by 10 to 15 points. That's pretty much in. And then Salina is going to lose by 20 to 30 to Albany. So it's going to be a fun week. But, I mean, I hope Southwest Kansas can pull out a win somehow. But I think Albany minus 5.5, Josh, that's generous, man. I got them winning that game by like 25 against Salina, honestly. But it's going to be a fun week. Raheem Cato won't be playing this week, too. He's back in Florida. So Javen Kilgo will be the starter. So that, I think, changes things. But in the IFL, I'm excited to see the lines. I can't wait to see what DraftKings has our game at. Can't wait to see this disrespect. Hold up. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Massachusetts are 25-point underdogs because they're terrible.
Yeah.
Just
So
toxic
terrible.
ooze coming every direction from that organization. That's all I hear.
We're about to have more wins than Southwest Kansas could ever dream of. So.
Yeah, it only took 25 games to get there. No big deal.
I tell Chris that all the time, Sam. I think Mass should do a little bit of changing, but he's content on they're good where they're at.
Yeah.
It's okay. Nah, I'm not going to tolerate this disrespect, Coach. All right?
Oh, disrespect for your 5-5 team.
We started 2-5, and we had all the industry shitting on us, right? Zach Kyleman, I know your name, man. I know where you stay. All right? We have all these people disrespecting us, and I keep receipts, too. All right, and I walked in that locker room when we were 2-5, man. I looked at one of our guys. I looked at Terry Beckner. I said, man, we about to go on a run. And he's like, yes, sir. You know it, man. I felt the vibes. The vibes are high. The energy's high. We're coming back, man. I really believe we're about to win the championship in Tucson, Arizona. I feel really good about us. So, let's see. All right.
What?
Somebody has to feel good about Mass. So, I mean, at least you do.
All right, great. Yeah. All right. Green Bay. I'll make sure to send Coach Thomas my IFL Network pass so he can watch that game next week from Cancun. Um, but anyway, so Green Bay versus Fisher Freight. I like Fisher to cover. It's at home plus 13.5. That's a lot for sure. Tulsa versus us. So I'll say this, right? Tulsa has a great receiving core. Faison McClure, Jermaine Smith, Cole Blackman, Max Novak, Sheldon Augustine. That's a stud group. I think I have 7 former guests of the show on Tulsa. So I'm really excited to see all my guys. Definitely will try to get a group photo after we oil them up, so that's the goal, right? But anyway, so I
That
like
came out a little wrong. I'm not gonna lie, Krish.
anyway, I like Matt's money line, man. Marvin's about to get this belt, I'm tired of seeing Tulsa this, Tulsa that. Nah, bro, they have to come in to our house, to our crib, and play the Mass Pirates. I'll be there early, like I always am, man. 90 minutes before the game. About to order some Dave's Hot Chicken, or I sit and I watch the Marvin Jones collapse. So I'm excited for this one, man. Give me Mass money line, baby. Let's go. Quad City, Jacksonville, man. I like Quad City. I like Quad City on the money line. Iowa Barnstormers. Man, Sydney, man, you might need to hit up Coach Jones, man. That D-line sucks ass. Puka's about to run for 200 on them tonight. Iowa, Vegas minus 13.5. Northern Arizona. I like Northern Arizona plus 5.5. And then I like Bay Area minus 6.5. And then I like San Antonio plus 6.5. So those are my picks for the week. I'm always accurate, 103 and 58. Best, most accurate picker in the industry. So
The most accurate picker in the industry, except for the other guys that have better records. But Chris doesn't count them because they're over 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You crack me up with that, dude, every time. Always the most accurate picker in the industry, except for the guys who picked more accurately that conveniently don't count. That's okay. Any final thoughts for today? I know we've covered a lot. I got a little fired up there. And anything else? By the way, Sydney, appreciate you watching, man. Would love to get you on the show to talk about your championship season this year. Would love to have you on next week. Shoot me a DM. We'll see if you're available, and we'll go from there. But any final thoughts on any of the leagues we've talked about? Anything else that's going on in the indoor football world?
Wait to see some good football playoff weekend today. And, the TAL going to bring that heat. So let's see what we get, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, excited, man. It's been fun doing interviews with my Pirates guys every Tuesday at 3:30. So, excited to have that media spot with the team. But, no, excited to be back home. Obviously, I really enjoyed the show today. And I know it's emotional for you, I know how it feels, man. When your team season is coming to an end, it's just a emotional withdrawal. Like, you're going to wake up on Sunday morning and be like, man, I'm excited for game week. And then it's going to hit you. It's going to be like it's almost like, when you pop a Zen and then you don't have the Zen, it's like you're losing it, man. You feel like you're out of it. That's how it's going to feel Sunday morning. So I'm sorry you have to deal with it, man, but just lean on the people around you and the emotion will go away. But it's about to be painful on Sunday, man. It's going to be Nashville Cats by 15 points. And, yeah, no, I'm excited for tonight, man. Just keep sleeping on us, man. Trey, Zach, Luke Miller, all y'all, keep sleeping on us. I know who you are. Like I said earlier, man, like to our other chat, man, don't be surprised if a package shows up at your door, right? If you keep disrespecting us. So I'm ready, man. Give me Mass Pirates by 15 points, too. Let's go, man.
Who's Mass playing again?
Tulsa.
All right. Give me Tulsa by 12.
I got Tulsa winning that one. I ain't going to lie to you.
Oh, okay. I was kidding, but damn. All right. That's
They're
awesome.
not walking into our house, our crib, man. Coach, when teams play us in our house, it's different, man. We're about to have our fan base is going to show up tonight. I know it, man. I mean, it's Saturday night in Lowell, Massachusetts, man. Like, come on. Well, come on, man. Don't do this, Coach. Don't do this to yourself. Don't be part of I don't want to have to send a package to your door, too, so.
Hey, you got my address, but I'm just telling you, Tulsa is not no slouch, bro. Like, I understand where you coming from, but like they not no Tucson or nobody like that. They actually got a chance of winning, bro.
They do, and
That's fair.
TJ. I mean, TJ is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in indoor football. I don't bet that, but we have a good ass defense. Our D line is dominant. Our D line is the best in the league. Look at the stats. We have the best O line. We have the best running back in the league in Puka. I'll take us any day, man. And their defense can't stop us. Their defense has to face us. Remember that. So we got a good defense, man, and we got a better kicker too. Special teams is gonna play a huge role. So and we got an elite center. They don't have an elite center, right? I mean, a center is a big part of winning close football games, man. So I'm just so excited tonight. I love being back home. Being back home is amazing, So yeah, I'll send you a video after we get this dub tonight, Coach. Believe that.
All right, that's cool. I'll be looking for it. I honestly think Tucson is gonna beat Northern Arizona tonight.
Oh yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know what's going on in Northern Arizona, but it ain't right.
You gotta stop calling, bud. All right, fellas, I gotta wrap this one up. I appreciate everybody who tuned in today. I know I got a little fired up there at the end. I hope you guys appreciated the episode. We do have an interview for you, the pre-recorded Toby Johnson interview that Krish rocked out this week. So stay tuned, and we will finish up with that one.
Yeah, Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Grayson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22.
10-yard line. 5. Mayfield. Dancing all around. Throwing as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver, you're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
Shady Sports, man. I'm back here with a very special guest, assistant head coach and D-line coach for the Math Pirates. My guy, Coach Toby. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. What about yourself, man?
I'm doing good. So, Coach, I kind of want to dive right in. Talk to me about your transition from player to coach and how that whole process has been.
Oh, it's been good. Being able to give back to the organization. We got some very good players, so it's been pretty easy transition as far as like the teaching process. I've been learning a little something from these guys too. Being that I've been in a lot of different locker rooms, I've played in a lot of different leagues. These boys just give me a different aspect of the game. These guys played at a high level. You typically don't get guys that then played at just at a high level like they have. So it's easy to teach. It's easy to draw stuff up on the sideline, and they just grasp to it pretty easy.
Most definitely. And prior to this, did you have opportunities to continue your playing career before diving into coaching?
Oh yes, sir. I did. I actually wanted to go back to the UFL, but I wasn't ready when the season first kicked off. But when the season got going, I had a couple of opportunities, but I had already been coaching. And unfortunately, the opportunity passed me, being that I was coaching and I needed a couple of weeks to get myself going, get my body going. But I also had plenty of opportunities to play in, the IFL. But, I chose to coach this year. I was given a couple of opportunities to be head coaches at a couple of organizations. So I said, let me try here first, see can I handle it as far as an assistant. And, it's been an easy transition for me. Being around my people. They just like family to me.
And I definitely see that. And you've been around a lot of great coaches, right? Coach Kirby, Smart
Mhm.
at Georgia. You talk about the other coaches you've been around. Who's been your biggest mentor through this transition?
Really just we got a lot of guys that's on this coaching staff that I feel like been helping me out along the way as far as the head coaches. Even even Fred before he left, he was mentoring. Yeah, Coach Tito, the OC. It's a lot of the guys that have been trying to even Jordan. Me and Jordan pretty much the same age, but he been around the block, so he give me tips and stuff to as far as like game planning and stuff, what we should look for and all that stuff, as far as breaking down film. Even though I've been pretty much breaking down film for a while, but I haven't had to, write everything down, like try to teach it, relay it to somebody. I look at the game different from my players, so I kind of got to just break it down, break it down in they terms.
You played in the UFL. You were one of the best players, all UFL first team. I want to kind of talk to you about, there's a lot of back and forth dialogue between current and former players about the viability and the sustainability of UFL. What do you
Mhm.
think the current state of the league is?
I think it's growing. Being that from what I'm hearing, they finna put the teams in their own states. I feel like that's been the real big issue as far as like viewership and all that stuff. I feel like you got to put guys, in the communities and stuff. Let them get out and show their body. That'll help guys. That'll make fans and stuff come support you more. I feel like. Also, I feel like it's gonna grow because of they got a cap. They bring down another salary cap for the players, so they're gonna be getting paid a lot more. So I feel like a lot of guys gonna be more willing to go play in the league. For us, the quarterback position, they say the quarterback position really makes and breaks leagues. I feel like a lot of guys now gonna be wanting to come play in this league, play in the UFL.
I definitely agree with that assessment. I want to talk to you about, you're big on stats. I know about you. You love your metrics, you love your numbers. What
Yeah.
metric or stat do you use to kind of assess the defensive line unit as a whole?
Uh, it really starts with the run. Can you stop the run? Because I feel like everything else just feedback on that. That's my main thing. Being able to stop the run. If you can stop the run, I always say you got to earn the right to pass rush. All these guys work the whole offseason, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Don't nobody, work on the basic fundamentals, stopping the run. A lot of these guys, they pretty good pass rush, but they can't stop the run, so they'll never get a chance to really see their real full arsenal. So I feel like you got to work on stopping the run just as much as you got to work on pass rushing. Now try to do both, but that's my main focus. In this IFL, got to be able to stop that run first. You got a lot of dynamic quarterbacks and all that stuff, and it just makes the game funner. If you can stop the run, you can do whatever you want to do. As far as on the back end of the game, as far as pass rushing. Now that you can twist and stuff, the game is super easy.
Now I hate to use this term, but 4 out of 5 of our D linemen are rookies, quote unquote indoor football rookies. Which D lineman from the beginning of the season do you think has experienced the most personal growth?
Uh, the most personal growth I say have been DJ. DJ came here. We put a lot of pressure on him as far as like playing every position, being being able to force to play every position from the end, the nose, from both end positions. But I feel like he's grown. I feel like he has gotten better over the weeks. Terry too. Uh, guy played in the league last year, so it's been pretty much easier transition for him. Dom came on pretty good to start the season, but he got a little banged up. I feel like all the guys have been getting better week to week. Taking it from practice over to the game, so it's been easy.
Coach, I appreciate your time today. Obviously, you have a ton of connections playing in the UFL, you played in the NFL, so I'm sure an analyst role or, a coordinator job in the SEC is always an opportunity. What are your goals for your coaching career in the next 5 years?
Tell you the truth, I want to try to squeeze out another year of playing, but if I don't, next year, hopefully I'll be a head coach somewhere.
Most definitely.
I'm a game changer. 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 I'm a game changer.